Chapter 543. The monsters were silent. They didn't know what to say. It was hard to accept that they had suddenly become monsters for others to level up. Killing them would allow them to level up quickly. If they could kill others, they would also level up quickly. Of course, they would do that. In ancient times, many monsters relied on merit to become immortals. Jiang Changkong smiled. Everyone, don't panic. Heavenly Court is the same as you. They are not good people. Monster Monarch, are you saying that if we kill Heavenly Court's people, we can also obtain the power of heaven? Lord Crocodile asked excitedly. Jiang Changkong shook his head. Not necessarily. Why? The monsters asked. Why couldn't they obtain the power of heaven? That depends on whether the Monster Court has heaven or not. Although I have an immortal position, it was given by the primordial Monster Monarch. Jiang Changkong explained. If the current Demon Court has a heaven, we will be able to obtain the power of heaven after it recovers. I have already sent a message to the Monster Court. I believe there will be a result soon, Sun Yuan said. Everyone, it's better to worry about the present, if you have any influence. Jiang Changkong pointed up. Previously, Glory-bound City was attacked by Heavenly Court to obtain the power of heaven. The other places were also attacked by heavenly soldiers. Monster Monarch, what should we do? Zhu 19 asked respectfully. Either we start a war with Heavenly Court, or we do our best and wash away our sins. Jiang Changkong said indifferently. Of course, the best way is to leave Heavenly Court's territory immediately and never return. If we leave, what will happen to this place? Sun Yuan asked. Heavenly Court will completely rule this place. I think Immortal Court and Celestial Court will make their move soon. When that time comes, washing away our sins is the best way. Live carefully forever, or see if they are in a good mood and are willing to have a few more dogs. Jiang Changkong said coldly. The monsters showed ferocious faces. The celestial world belongs to the three factions. If they really do it, they will truly control the celestial world. That's right, the monster race will have no place to hide. Either we fight now, or we become dogs in the future. What will you choose? Jiang Changkong looked up at the sky and roared. Right now, the situation wasn't that bad, but if the Heavenly Court really cleaned up this place, they definitely wouldn't be able to retaliate. When the immortal position was formed, billions of celestial soldiers and generals would arrive in an instant, and they wouldn't be able to escape. No matter how fast one's escape speed was, how could it compare to teleportation? Before they could even escape the East Sea, they would be surrounded and killed by the army. Waiting for death was the best outcome. Jiang Changkong didn't scare them. What he said was the truth. Zhu 19 is willing to follow the Demon King and pave a way for our demon race. We are willing to follow the Monster King and pave a way for our monster race. Roars resounded and the demons responded. However, the immortals and immortal lords did not respond. Jiang Changkong raised his hand slightly and the demons quietened down. He said solemnly, I, Dongwang Changkong, swear to the heavens that if I lead the demon race to destruction, I will definitely die before the demon race. This was also a promise he had made with Sun Yuan. Walala, the heavenly book trembled, and a strand of the power of heaven formed a special imprint and disappeared. The heavens recorded the oath. Jiang Changkong was disdainful. When he grew up, the heavens were nothing. With the heavens as his witness, Demon Lord Greenwood said, Greenwood will follow the Demon King. He had not done anything wrong and cultivated diligently to become an immortal lord. However, if he did not participate and allowed the heavenly courts to attack, the pure land of Huagu Mountain would still be ruled by the heavenly courts. Demon King, we will follow you. You won't punish us first, right? Heavenly Lord Crocodile, Nine Feathers, Immortal Crane, and Sure Wanzai said at the same time. The other demons who had committed grave crimes and were sentenced to death also looked at him solemnly. This was a heavenly demon of justice. He had to be impartial. Jiang Changkong put away the heavenly book and placed his hands behind his back. The return of the heavens is inevitable. As a heavenly demon of justice, I am indebted to all of you for your love and worship me as the Demon King. I will give my people a chance to make up for it. Thank you, Demon King. The demons were overjoyed and shouted, "Everyone, cleansing your sins is not something that can be done in a day. I can ignore your sins now, but do not commit them again in the future," Jiang Changkong said solemnly. "We will obey the Demon King's decree. In the future, we will not kill the innocent. We will strictly abide by the heavenly laws." The demons responded. Their voices resounded in the sky above Huagua Mountain. With the return of the heavenly laws, the name of the demon court will spread throughout the celestial world and the mortal world. I do not ask you to stop killing, but remember, do not kill for no reason. Jiang Changkong said coldly. His divine might surged. Other than immortal lords, everyone felt a terrifying pressure. I will not give those who kill for no reason a chance to change. Demon King, don't worry. Heavenly Lord Crocodile said first. I will not tolerate anyone who disobeys the Demon King's orders. Demon King, what should we do next? Zhu 19 asked. Everyone quieted down. Yes, what should they do next? No matter how well they shouted, they would not be able to do nothing. Jiang Changkong calmed down and looked around. Senior Sun Yuan, do the heavenly courts dare to start an all-out war with the demons? Can we stop the demon army if we attack? Both sides will not dare to start an all-out war unless we can rope in the Celestial Court and Celestial Court, Sun Yuan said. Jiang Changkong asked, what if the immortal king appears? That is another level. The demon court will respond. Sun Yuan smiled. Then there is nothing to worry about. The first step is to take down Aohai Nation and spread the name of the demon court. Let the living beings of Aohai Nation worship the demon king and the demon king. Jiang Changkong ordered coldly. He ordered again, spread the news of the heavenly law's revival. Let those celestial sects and the other factions know. Demon sovereign, if that's the case, wouldn't we have more enemies? Zhu 19 asked puzzledly. Yes, many celestial sects like to kill demons. The demons said worriedly. Everyone is tempted by the power of the heavens. Since we're going to deal with the heavenly courts, we will announce to the world that the heavenly laws are incomplete. The heavenly Dharch is tyrannical. The people in the heavenly courts are all sinners. Kill them, and we will obtain the power of the heavens. Jiang Changkong smiled. The heavenly courts will massacre for the power of the heavens. Not long ago, the heavenly court's heavenly god of justice destroyed the 3 celestial sects. Why not announce it? Demon King is right. The heavenly Dharch is tyrannical. The people in the heavenly courts are all sinners. It is time for the demons to rise and the demon court to be rebuilt. Overthrow the heavenly courts and rebuild the demon court. Overthrow the heavenly courts and rebuild the demon court. Excited roars resounded. They were fighting for their lives and for the future. Let's go. Our first target, Aohai Nation. Jiang Changkong ordered. The demons set off. He reminded again, we just need to take down Aohai Nation. Don't kill too much. Demon King, don't worry. I will go personally. Zhu 19 bowed and left with his men. As the group of demons left, Sun Yuan's frail body stood upright as he spoke with a strong voice. Demon Emperor, you've taken down all the demons. Senior, don't you want to fight your way to the Southern Heaven Gate and announce that the Heavenly Dharch will come to my place this year? Jiang Changkong smiled. The old ape doesn't have the ability, but the Demon King does. Sun Yuan smiled and left. Chapter 544. The monsters swarmed into Aohai Nation. The sky was filled with colorful lights. Heavenly soldiers arrived at the capital of Aohai Nation to clean up the monsters. No matter if they were good or evil, no one was left alive as long as they were monsters. The entire Aohai Nation was in chaos. The heavenly soldiers and generals felt the power of the heavens and almost went crazy. Those who benefited from the revival of the heavenly Tao were the targets of the heavens. Rumble. Thick demonic clouds swept over. The monsters came out of the mountains and scattered across Aohai Nation. Zhu 19 looked at the sky. There were still heavenly soldiers and generals hidden in the light. Immortals and great monsters soared into the sky and hit the sky with their palms. Countless heavenly soldiers and generals fell from the clouds. There's an attack from a great demon. A furious roar sounded. Rays of golden light rushed out from the cities of Alhai Nation. With a loud bang, Zhu 19's figure stopped. A peak immortal general blocked his way. "Evil monsters, I'm here. How dare you cause trouble?" He shouted angrily. The spear light blocked the spider's silk, and immortal light shone in all directions. The heavenly court that doesn't distinguish between good and evil is worthy of ruling the celestial world. Zhu 19 grunted and swept his spider legs. The heavenly court is tyrannical. The heavenly Tao belongs to the monsters. The monster court shall prosper. The spear light and the spider silk collided. Two peak immortals flew into the sky, trying not to hurt the innocent. Among the 36 monster monarchs, Greenwood Demon Lord and 20 immortal monster monarchs came. Greenwood Demon Lord didn't attack. He was an immortal lord and shouldn't interfere in such a fight. Last time, 10 immortals were destroyed in Glory-bound City. This time, the heavenly court sent more people. There were more immortals than before. There were 25 of them. Another peak immortal general came. They worked together and sent Zhu 19 flying. "This monster monarch is mine. Why are you interfering?" The previous immortal said unhappily. "Cut the crap. There are so many immortals this time. It must be an army. Let's finish them off quickly and get the power of the heavens together." The immortal that just arrived snorted and swept his spear. Zhu 19 used his spider legs to block the spear, but he was no match for the two peak immortals and was forced to retreat. "Heaven's power. For the sake of heaven's power, you all have already gone mad. I'm a good demon." Zhu 19 shouted coldly. "How can an enemy of the heavenly court be a good demon? You disrespect the celestial arch and have no respect for the celestial court. You are undoubtedly an evil demon." The two immortals said coldly. Without the arcane tome of justice, they had no way of determining what was a good demon and what was an evil demon. Good and evil were all judged by the heavens. Dang! A loud sound rang out, and a figure appeared in front of Zhu 19, blocking the spear with a finger. "Demon Sovereign," Zhu 19 exclaimed in surprise. "You came out personally, Demon Emperor?" "There's actually a really big fish," the two immortal generals said excitedly. "Generals, your sins are grave. You should be celestial immortals." The heavenly book of justice trembled. Jiang Changkong sneered. "I will decide good and evil. Your heavenly court has the heavenly god of justice. Our demon race also has the heavenly demon of justice." A majestic divine might surged out, and the divine fire of the sun covered the sky and covered the earth. Judicial sky demon? The expressions of the two immortals changed, and they were sent flying away. Screech! With a long cry, he transformed into a golden crow. The heavenly eye between his brows opened, and divine light shone out. Law enforcement heavenly eye. The two immortals were shocked. The demon race actually gave birth to a judicial sky demon and a law enforcement heavenly eye. The divine light shone down, and the two immortals fell to the sky immortal level. Zhu 19 did not obtain the power of heaven. Perhaps it was because there were only two immortals, and the power of heaven was too little. Jiang Changkong put away the arcane tome and suppressed it in his body. The divine fire of the sun swept out and burned the two immortals. Rumble! The sky shook, and a giant hand that covered the sky appeared and pressed down. Jiang Changkong's heart sank, and the divine fire of the sun shot up into the sky. "Demon Lord Greenwood. Demon Sovereign, please step back." A figure appeared, and he raised his palm. Boom! The two palms collided, and there was a loud explosion. A terrifying divine might swept out, and heaven and earth cracked. A gentle green light protected him and Zhu 19. The immortal lord of the heavenly court could not help but make a move. Jiang Changkong had to call out Demon Lord Greenwood. If he did not tell them about the power of heaven, these star lords would not have helped him. Demon Lord Greenwood stepped into the air and fought the star lords of the heavenly court. 19. Let's go and help the other demon monarchs. Jiang Changkong gave his instructions and spread his wings. He supported the demon and flew up to face the immortal general. The arcane tome announced that the guilty ones would be killed, and the innocent ones would be suppressed by the arcane tome and killed. When the divine fire of the sun and the chaotic heavenly I swept across, no one could resist it, be it the immortals or the heavenly soldiers or heavenly generals. Their strength fell, and the immortals became sky immortals, and sky immortals became human immortals. The demons danced, and the demonic clouds engulfed the auspicious clouds, killing the heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals. The ancient divine apes' combat power was not weak, and they were almost twice as strong as their peers. Third Sun swept his iron rod, and an immortal was sent flying. He shouted, "The heavenly court is tyrannical, and the demon court rises again. The demon court rises again, and the demon sovereign is here. Are you still not going to surrender?" The demons reared their heads back and roared. The demonic clouds surged, and their voices shook the sky. Jiang Changkong had just knocked down an immortal. Just as he was about to make another move, the immortal title that the demon sovereign gave him trembled violently. A thick and pure demonic chi, carrying the power of heaven, was emitted from his body and spread out. Traces of golden light appeared in the bodies of all the demons present. Demon record. It corresponds to the immortal record of the heavenly court. It looks like the demon court also has a heaven, but it has not awakened yet. Jiang Changkong pondered, feeling the immortal title in his body. If I make the name of the demon court resound, will it awaken the demon race's heaven? Never mind. Now is not the time to think about this. It's fine as long as it is beneficial to me. Jiang Changkong stopped thinking, and his heavenly eye shone on an immortal. Retreat. Everyone retreat. A furious shout rang out. A figure covered in blood waved his hand, swept up the heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals, and flew into the sky. Greenwood Demon Lord's face was pale. He returned to Jiang Changkong and said, "Demon Sovereign, I did not disappoint you. Thank you, Demon Lord. Now that the heavenly court has retreated, we should quickly take control of the Aohai nation and spread the news of the heavenly court," Jiang Changkong ordered. Yes. Zhu 19 accepted the order and left. Jiang Changkong asked with concern, "Demon Lord, how are your injuries?" "I'm fine." Greenwood Demon Lord's body shone with green light, and his face became ruddy again. "I am good at healing." Jiang Changkong nodded and did not say anything else. He flew down and watched the demons move. He was worried that some of the demons would not listen to his orders and would attack countless living beings. Obviously, he was overthinking. Under the leadership of the ancient divine ape and Zhu 19, the demons were still very obedient. "Greetings, exalted immortal." The king of the Aohai nation quickly walked over and knelt on the ground. Jiang Changkong waved his hand, and an invisible divine power lifted the king up. "You are the king of the people. You could just stand and talk. You don't have to bow to me." "Thank you, exalted immortal." The king bowed again. He was only a martial artist who was close to becoming a god, and he had not become an immortal yet. He was fine in the past, but recently, the heavenly court came down and he bowed to them. He finally managed to serve the heavenly court well, but he did not expect that the heavenly court would be defeated by the demons again. Now, he was very flustered. Jiang Changkong said gently, "Don't be afraid. If you do not do evil, we will not hurt you, nor will we take a needle or a thread from the Aohai nation." Chapter 545. Aohai nation was the neighbor of the East Sea. The king sat on the throne, his body trembling. Jiang Changkong and the rest sat on the two sides of the throne. The king had never thought that his nation would be taken over by a bunch of monsters. The deity ancestor of Aohai was trembling, not daring to look at Jiang Changkong. Beside Jiang Changkong was Greenwood Monster Lord, a true immortal lord. After a while, Aohai ancestor said carefully, "Lord Monster King, what do you want? Take it and leave. Heavenly Court's army will be here soon." "Heavenly Court? That'll have to wait until they're ready for war." Jiang Changkong stood up and said indifferently, "You asked me what I want. I can tell you that I want Aohai nation." Plop. The king was so scared that he fell off his throne. "You want the Aohai nation?" Heavenly Court had only taken their resources, but these monsters wanted the entire Aohai nation. At that time, wouldn't he, the king, die? Don't be afraid. You're still the king. Jiang Changkong smiled. I want our high nation. Honor the monster, the arch, and the monster king, and create a nation where monsters and humans can coexist. The king. A nation where monsters and humans can coexist? Are you sure you're not joking? Your Majesty, we will definitely honor the demon emperor and the demon emperor. However, how can a demon race and the human race coexist? The deity ancestor said worriedly. Many monsters feed on humans. From today onwards, that won't happen anymore. All things are equal. The spiders can provide warmth. The apes can grow spirit fruits and brew wine. The grass elves can ensure the growth of plants. Jiang Changkong said calmly, as long as you're obedient, everything will be safe. Yes, the deity ancestor and the king stopped talking. In the end, they still had to listen. Rather than resisting and getting killed, it was better to see what these monsters wanted. Heavenly Court's immortals should arrive soon and chase these monsters away. Rumble. Just as he thought, thunder rumbled in the sky. It was a scene of doomsday. It was different from the auspicious clouds and multicolored lights from before. This time, furious thunder rolled and deities roared. Demons, are you really going to tear up the treaty and start a war with the Heavenly Court? A cold voice drifted over, exuding a supreme, immortal might. It was as if a king had descended. The purple clouds in the sky surged forth, suppressing the ocean. So it's Heavenly Monarch Zue. I've always heard of Heavenly Monarch Zue's fame, and I finally get to see you today. Laughter could be heard as an old ape carrying a golden pillar flew into the sky. The might of a pinnacle-high immortal was like that of a monarch. Even though it was a little strenuous for him to walk on air step by step, the powerful aura he exuded was enough to make one's heart tremble. The divine ape of Mount Huagua? Heavenly King Zue's purple robes fluttered in the wind as he stared at the divine ape. That's right, old ape. I didn't expect Heavenly King to still remember Mount Huagua. I'm really excited. The old ape waved the divine pillar and grinned. Ao Lai Nation, Flower and Fruit Mountain. Since ancient times, this has been our territory. This is the Ao High Nation, not the ancient times, Heavenly King Ziwei said coldly. You are also not the Heavenly Court of the past. The old ape sneered and said firmly, we cannot lose the foundation left behind by our ancestor. Heavenly King Ziwei's eyes narrowed, and his immortal might shook the air. Purple light surged like waves, causing the air to tremble. The old ape's expression darkened, and he could not help but lower his body. If it wasn't for the fact that you are from the heavens' equal bloodline, I would have killed you with one finger, Heavenly King Ziwei said expressionlessly. The old ape was not afraid at all. Heavenly King Ziwei is powerful, but if I die, you won't live for long either. Both of them were not afraid of each other's threats. The divine ape was much weaker and was not Heavenly King Ziwei's match. However, behind the divine ape was an even stronger divine ape and the demon race. Heavenly King Ziwei was also supported by the Heavenly Court. However, regardless of whether they were strong or weak, they both represented the forces behind them. What are you demons trying to do? The Demon Court? Heavenly King Ziwei said coldly. Not bad, the divine ape said proudly. Heavenly King Ziwei sneered. This will only hasten your demise. The Immortal Court and Divine Court won't let you go once the monster race comes out. What we're worried about now is the Heavenly Court. The Immortal Court and the Divine Court are definitely more concerned about the power of heaven. The old ape said plainly, the Heavenly Court has been keeping this news under wraps, right? Heavenly Monarch Zue looked at him coldly and didn't say anything. That person wants to pry into the Saint's Tao. Right now, he doesn't have enough heaven's power. The Immortal Court and the God Court will definitely be more than happy to help him. The divine ape looked up at the Heavenly King, bared his teeth, and said, you don't have to beat around the bush, Heavenly King. Tell me, what's your plan? It was impossible to shed all pretense of cordiality and start an all-out war. The Heavenly Court did not dare. Once they fell out, the monster race would definitely spread the news of the power of heaven to the Immortal Court and the Divine Court. At that time, those two forces would definitely go all out against the heavenly court. The demons did not want to fall out with each other and start conflict. The heavenly courts would definitely deal with the demons first. The other two major forces were likely to watch from the sidelines and not allow the demon race to grow stronger. What do you want? Tell that monster emperor and heavenly monster justice to come out. Heavenly monarch Ziwei harumphed coldly and withdrew his aura. Jiang Changkong transformed into 1,000 feet tall golden crow and flew into the sky with a heavenly book of justice floating beside him. Power of heaven, heavenly book of justice. Heavenly monarch Ziwei's expression darkened. Heavenly monarch Ziwei. Jiang Changkong transformed into his human form and held the heavenly book of justice in his hand. Heavenly monarch, your speed has truly exceeded my expectations. How can a mere immortal be called a monster emperor? Heavenly monarch Ziwei said disdainfully. Since heavenly monarch Ziwei says so, why don't we have an immortal plot? Jiang Changkong said indifferently. Heavenly monarch Ziwei's expression remained unchanged. I have the heavenly eye of justice. Do you think I will agree to an immortal plot? I heard that the heavenly court's heavenly god of justice is equally powerful and also has the heavenly eye. What? Do you think that heavenly monarch Ziwei is no match for me? Jiang Changkong smiled indifferently and asked. Heavenly monarch Ziwei's expression remained indifferent, but his heart sank. He had even taken the heavenly court's heavenly god of justice and the heavenly book of justice. How could they send him out? Would the heavenly court's crippled heavenly god of justice still fight for the heavenly court? He felt that the heavenly court's heavenly god of justice was not that magnanimous. Looks like the heavenly court has no one else. Heavenly monarch Ziwei, how about we change it to an immortal lord plot? Our monster court has plenty of experts. The old ape chuckled. Heavenly monarch Ziwei harumphed coldly. So be it. Let's fight in the East Sea in 7 days. How exactly are we going to compete? Jiang Changkong asked indifferently. 3 wins out of 5. But I can fight alone. Monster emperors sure are confident. If I win, if the monster race loses, get out of the heavenly court's territory and never come back. If the monster race wins, hand over the golden crow egg. Also, don't interfere with the monster court's matters, Jiang Changkong said coldly. What a big appetite. If the monster race wins, don't even think about getting the golden crow egg. Heavenly monarch Ziwei looked at him with disdain and waved his hand. Let's go. Monster emperor, that old *** sure left quickly. The old ape cursed. Senior Sun Yuan, I didn't think you could still curse. Let's go back first. Jiang Changkong smiled and returned to the proud Sea Nation. Chapter 546. In Aohai Nation, the demons used their divine abilities to build a demon emperor palace and a demon emperor temple. The temple enshrined primordial demon emperor Dijun and primordial demon emperor Eastern emperor Tai. Jiang Changkong offered 2 jaw sticks and headed towards the demon king palace. Yuan's son, old ape, heavenly lord crocodile, and greenwood demon lord were all gathered in the demon king palace. That damned heavenly king Ziwei. He won't release the golden crow egg no matter what. In my opinion, we might as well gather the demon army and attack the heavenly court. Everyone, please be quiet. The demon emperor has his own plans. Zhu 19 said. Demon sovereign. Only then did the group of demon monarchs look at Jiang Changkong, who was sitting on the main seat. Jiang Changkong was deep in thought. He had only mentioned the golden crow egg on purpose. There was no hope at all that the heavenly court would agree to return the golden crow egg. This was something impossible. The golden crow was a member of the royal family of the fiend race. It was not easy for Zhang Xian to capture one, and he also had the golden crow immortal scripture. Hearing their calls, Jiang Changkong came back to his senses and said calmly, "It's impossible to attack the heavenly courts now. There's no need to think about this for now unless the demon court agrees." Demon sovereign, how should we prepare for the immortals' layout? The old ape asked. I can handle it myself, Jiang Changkong said indifferently. Many of the demon kings were unhappy. Demon emperor, how can we let you take the risk? Moreover, with your status, How can you compete with the immortals of the heavenly court? Zhu Shizhou also said, Demon Emperor, let 19 go. Even though 19 is far from the Demon Emperor, he isn't afraid of the celestial heavens. Demon Emperor, let us go. Jiang Changkong raised a hand. The East Sea is under the complete rule of the heavenly court. It is the territory conquered by the heavenly court's heavenly god of justice. During the battle in the East Sea, the immortals and gods of the heavenly courts might be strengthened by the power of heaven. You won't be their match if you go. If that's the case, wouldn't the Demon Emperor be in danger? Heavenly Monarch Zi Wei is indeed despicable and shameless, the demon monarchs said angrily. Don't forget, I'm a heavenly demon of justice. The heavenly court is not the only one who can borrow the power of the heavens. Jiang Changkong said confidently, the heavens only care about what's beneficial to them. They don't care about the heavenly courts or the demons. But, Demon Emperor, that place was conquered by the heavenly god of justice after all. If that heavenly god of justice of the heavenly court makes a move, it will be very troublesome. Zhu 19 said worriedly. Jiang Changkong frowned. If that's the case, it's going to be troublesome. Don't worry, Demon Emperor. The heavenly court's heavenly god of justice has already been crippled, a demon monarch said with a smile. Oh, Jiang Changkong asked curiously, what's going on? According to the heavenly court's demonic race, heavenly monarch Zi Wei stole the heavenly book of justice and gave it to a heavenly soldier. As for the heavenly god of justice, he was ordered to go into seclusion in the divine palace of justice and can only move about in the East Sea. The immortal demon monarch sneered. Whether or not the heavenly god of justice will fight for the heavenly court is another matter altogether. Then there's nothing to worry about. Jiang Changkong smiled and said, from now on, everyone just needs to focus on developing. Keep your subordinates in check and don't cause any trouble. Demon Monarch, don't worry. 19 has been in charge of Glory-bound City for many years and is experienced, Zhu 19 said respectfully. Oh, by the way, did anything strange happen when you fought earlier? Jiang Changkong recalled that when he called out the name of the demon court, his immortal position trembled, and it even spread to the nearby demonic races. No, the many demon monarchs shook their heads. Then go. I'm in closed-door cultivation. Jiang Changkong did not say anything more. He let them develop while he sorted out his gains. His spirit, essence, and spirit had reached more than 370,000 points. It was enough to cultivate the Golden Crow immortal scripture to star venerate. However, it was only enough for him to use the 4-revolution profound art or the postnatal primal chaos Tao body to reach Deshang. He added his spirit, essence, and spirit to his profound art. The primal chaos laws in his body grew again. The primal chaos stars shrank, and the primal chaos divine energy compressed and condensed. The quality of primal chaos divine energy became stronger, and vast primal chaos divine energy circulated in his body. That strand of immortal aura also became denser. Deities already had a trace of immortal characteristics. Strands of primal chaos divine energy appeared around Shao Chun, enveloping him like a dense fog. 10 hours later, Jiang Changkong's transformation was complete. The primal chaos divine energy shrank back into his body. His strength now looked like that of an early-stage divine immortal. Jiang Changkong, late-stage divine immortal, true god, 4-revolution profound art, Desheng, 1/900, 000 postnatal primal chaos Tao body, small perfection, 1/300, 000 golden crow immortal scripture, consummation, 1/33750 spirit, essence and spirit, 75314-inch late-stage divine immortal. Not bad. Jiang Changkong thought for a while and prepared to step out of the Demon Monarch Palace to spar with Shi Wanzai, an early-stage immortal lord. Huh? Shao Chun frowned. Someone was knocking on the door of the heavenly god palace of justice. It's those two stupid women again. Jiang Changkong rubbed his forehead, wondering if he should meet them. After thinking for a while, he decided not to meet them. He would go to Flower Fruit Mountain to spar with Shi Wanzai. If he sparred outside, the heavenly court would definitely know his strength. At that time, it would be troublesome. Xiao Chun entered Flower Fruit Mountain with Shi Wanzai and headed to the sky above the sea. Hearing that the demon monarch and immortal lord were fighting, many demons stopped and rushed over. Shi Wanzai was covered in green stone skin. He was originally a stone that attained the Tao. It was said that he had been born for thousands of years. He set a goal for himself, which was to become an immortal king within 10,000 years. That was why he was named Shi Wanzai. Above the East Sea, Shi Wanzai's body was emitting green light. With a solemn expression, he said, "Demon monarch, think carefully. You are only an early-stage divine immortal." An early-stage divine immortal looking for an early-stage immortal lord to spar with him felt like he was looking for a beating. I want to see how big the gap is between me and an immortal lord without using the power of heaven. Jiang Changkong said indifferently. He transformed into his golden crow form, and heat surged around him. "Be careful. Demon monarch, feel free to come at me." Shi Wanzai said casually. "Great sun incinerates the heavens." Jiang Changkong spread his wings, and the great sun appeared, burning the sky and boiling the sea. A stubborn stone in 1,000 years. Shi Wanzai smiled proudly and turned into a green stone, allowing the great sun to burn him. The great sun evaporated the seawater, but it couldn't move the stubborn stone. Jiang Changkong smiled indifferently. Chaos divine power, chaos golden crow body. The gray chaos divine power, combined with the sun divine fire, increased his power exponentially. Previously, he only used the power of the golden crow immortal scripture, but he couldn't break through Shi Wanzai's defense. Although Shi Wanzai was only an early-stage immortal lord, he was still an expert who had been an immortal lord for many years. Crack! The primal chaos divine power appeared and worked together with the solar divine flame. Cracks actually appeared on the blue stone. Shi Wanzai's expression changed. He turned into his human form and quickly retreated. "Demon monarch, what kind of divine power is this?" "Chaos golden crow." Jiang Changkong flapped his wings. "You can't look down on me anymore. Demon monarch, come." Shi Wanzai's expression turned serious. He took the lead and rushed towards Jiang Changkong. Green light shook the void. Stone shatters the sky. Great sun golden flame. Jiang Changkong let out a long roar. Golden divine fire mixed with gray divine power. Boom! With a shocking explosion, the two retreated at the same time. Shi Wanzai's expression became more serious, and he increased the power in his hand. The power in Jiang Changkong's body was pushed to the limit. He had stepped into the late-stage, divine, immortal stage. Even without the help of the power of heaven, his battle power was still terrifying. He waved his 3 legs, and the divine fire followed. They clashed again, and the huge pressure made his heart sink. With a thought, he activated the chaos golden body again, and his strength increased sharply. Boom! After a collision, Shi Wanzai was sent flying, and the green stone fell into the sea. He was shocked that his demon monarch could actually injure him. Chapter 547. It was not rare for the Golden Crow mystic art to increase one's strength. Therefore, Jiang Changkong could use the chaotic golden body without worry. A monster emperor's combat power is so terrifying, he can actually injure an immortal lord. As expected of a monster emperor, the spectating demons cried out in alarm. Of course, the monster emperor took out the ocean-pacifying divine iron. Do you know what the ocean-pacifying divine iron is? It's impossible to take it out without a foundation several times stronger than others. The ancient divine apes raised their heads proudly. The ocean-pacifying divine iron was their ultimate treasure. They were also very impressed by Jiang Changkong, who took it out, especially when Jiang Changkong had received the godly ocean-pacifying needle. It had been light as if it was nothing. The demons discussed and were shocked by Jiang Changkong's strength. In the sky above the sea, Jiang Changkong and Shi Wanzai were locked in a fierce battle. shattered azure stones, and fallen feathers. The two avoided the vital parts and attacked with ease. Rumble. The seawater instantly evaporated. The azure stone light and the sun divine fire clashed continuously. Jiang Chongkong displayed all kinds of offensive techniques of the Golden Crow. Although Shi Wanzai was not as powerful as the Golden Crow, his Immortal Sutra was also top-notch and not weaker than the Golden Crow Immortal Sutra. The demons on Flower Fruit Mountain were intoxicated by the battle. Some peak immortal demons were even more engrossed. The immortal Lord Shi Wanzai's every move had the power of a monarch's law, which surpassed that of an immortal. The immortal aura was extremely dense. Although Jiang Chongkong's power of law was slightly inferior, he could make up for the huge difference with the help of chaos. With the fourth revolution Xian art, every move he made contained great power. As time passed, more and more wounds appeared on their bodies. Grayish-gold blood and azure blood dripped into the sea. 2 hours later, old Ape Sun Yuan came and said indifferently, "Enough, stop." Jiang Chongkong and Shi Wanzai retreated at the same time. "I admire your immortal lord strength," Jiang Chongkong said with cupped hands. "Wanzai admires the demon sovereign strength. If I don't use my full strength, I definitely won't be able to take down the demon sovereign," Shi Wanzai said. Jiang Chongkong said gratefully, "Thank you for holding back just now, immortal monarch." Shi Wanzai was very strong, and he was definitely an expert among the early-stage immortal monarchs. In the previous battle, while it seemed like he had fought intensely and it was difficult to determine the victor, in truth, he had not used his full strength. Demon sovereigns are too humble. Ordinary immortal lords who have just broken through are definitely not a match for demon sovereigns. Shi Wanzai smiled and said, "It is definitely a blessing for the demon race to have a demon sovereign." Jiang Chongkong smiled and did not say anything else. With his current strength and the power of the heavens, he should be able to take down an ordinary early-stage celestial lord. The two of them came to the old ape's side, and Jiang Chongkong asked, "Senior, did something happen outside?" The old ape shook his head and said, "I'm worried that if the fight continues, it will cause serious injuries. The demon monarch still has to deal with the arranged battle with the heavenly court." "It was my thoughtlessness," Jiang Chongkong said apologetically. "All right, can you please create a detailed map of the territories ruled by the heavenly court?" When he was in the heavenly court, he did not really look at these maps, and only knew that the heavenly court's territory was huge. All this while he had been guarding the southern heavenly gate or enforcing the law near the East Sea, and did not know much about the other places. "Leave this to immortal monarch Shi," the old ape said. Shi Wanzai nodded and said, "Leave it to me." The old ape took out a jar of wine and handed it to Jiang Chongkong. "Demon sovereign, take this to recuperate." Gulp. Jiang Chongkong heard the sound of saliva being swallowed. There was Shi Wanzai and the other demons. This was definitely something good. He smiled and said, "Then I will return to the Demon Imperial Palace first. Immortal Monarch Shi, please send me off." "All right." Shi Wanzai's expression turned joyful, and he hurriedly left with him. The old ape shook his head and did not say anything. After returning to the Demon Imperial Palace, Jiang Chongkong divided the jar of wine into 6 portions and gave one to Shi Wanzai. "Give one to the 3 immortal monarchs and 19. Don't be greedy, or you won't get any next time." "Thank you, Demon Sovereign." Shi Wanzai hurriedly accepted his portion. "Demon Sovereign, are we really going to divide it like this? This is a top-grade immortal wine, and it is very useful for immortal monarchs cultivation. Take it, you guys have worked hard." Jiang Chongkong said generously. There was no essence, qi, or spirit, so he naturally did not care. Moreover, he wanted to build a good relationship with these immortal monarchs. These immortal monarchs had come mainly because of what he had said before. They did not want to be dogs in the future, they did not want to be enslaved by the heavenly court, and they did not want to be killed by the heavenly court. Together with the benefits of the power of heaven, these immortal monarchs were tempted. They were not loyal to him, and there was still the Golden Crow Demon Emperor among the demons. Jiang Chongkong could only try his best to build his own team. It would be ugly if all his subordinates betrayed him with a single order from the Demon Emperor. He did not want to work for others, nor did he want to be like the heavenly court, who would be kicked away after being used up. After Shi Wanzai left, Jiang Changkong poured a mouthful of immortal wine and drank it to heal his injuries. The majestic medicinal power dissolved, and the injuries on his body healed quickly. He kept the rest of the immortal wine and would reward them in the future, or give it to Little Dragon King and the others. After cultivating and refining the medicinal power, Jiang Changkong began to heal his injuries in the Demon Emperor Palace. 3 days passed. East Sea. Jiang Changkong and Little Dragon King were patrolling the East Sea to check the current situation. There were still many places in the East Sea that were not ruled, but there were no living beings here. These places were dusty lands, and it did not affect the rule of the East Sea. Dragon King, substitute Dragon King, 2 fairies have come to visit, saying that they are looking for the substitute Dragon King. Prime Minister Turtle swam over. 2 fairies. Jiang Changkong frowned and looked at Little Dragon King. Let's go back. He left with them in a flash, and when he reappeared, he was already in the East Sea Dragon Palace. Ao Qingyu was entertaining the 2 fairies, and when she saw him return, she stood up and made way. It's really you. Why did you come to the East Sea? Jiang Changkong's expression was indifferent as he sat down at the side. Heavenly God of Justice, it's like this. The demon race has conquered Aohai Nation. Fairy Violet Orchid told him the matter. The Immortals' plan was set in the East Sea. The Immortals' plan is set in the East Sea? Isn't this causing trouble for our East Sea? Little Dragon King said angrily. One had to know that the East Sea now only had one immortal, Jiang Changkong. If they fought, the East Sea would suffer countless deaths and injuries. This is decided by the demon race. Royal Father can't do anything about it, Fairy Violet Orchid said helplessly. Demon race? This was clearly decided by Heavenly King Ziwei. Jiang Changkong sneered in his heart, but he said calmly on the surface, when the time comes, the sea race of the East Sea will retreat. Thank you, fairies. Fairy Violet Orchid said, No, we came to you to tell you that with your strength, you will definitely be able to defeat that dog-shit Demon Emperor. At that time, we will go and enforce the law together. Fairy Yushua nodded. This way, you can take back the Heavenly Book of Justice. Fairies don't have to worry about it. I have never thought of taking back something that I have given away, Jiang Changkong said indifferently. Why can't you understand the good intentions of others? Right now, the Heavenly Court is selecting the strongest. When the time comes, you will be the first to attack, defeat the Demon Emperor, and restore your power. Fairy Violet Orchid said eagerly. Jiang Changkong looked at them indifferently. Fairies, what do you want to eat? We are not here to eat. Prime Minister Turtle, serve the dishes. Chapter 548. Jiang Changkong, are you listening to us? Do you really want to stay in the East Sea for the rest of your life? Fairy Zilan stood up and said angrily. Jiang Changkong smiled faintly. The East Sea is pretty good. There's the Dragon King and the Sea Race. Why can't I stay here for the rest of my life? You're so different from the previous Heavenly God of Justice. Fairy Yushua frowned. It's the same wherever I am, Jiang Changkong said calmly. The key is that I can't beat my main body now, let alone restore my power. My main body is super powerful and can already beat immortal lords. This East Sea clone was left from before. It can only kill deities, not immortal lords. Besides, the monster race is so good. They always talk about monster emperors. All of them are geniuses and their words are super nice. With such good treatment, if I don't go over, why should I fight for the Heavenly Court? Isn't this a joke? You just want to watch and let them fight for your benefits and power? A trace of anger appeared on Fairy Yushua's pretty face. The Heavenly Court is now fully nurturing Lu Ji and the Chaos Body. Fairies, since the Heavenly Court has full confidence in this battle, why come to me? Even if I make the first move and can defeat that monster emperor, what's the point? Jiang Changkong said indifferently. That's merit. If you defeat the monster emperor first, it's a great merit. When the time comes, you'll definitely be rewarded, Fairy Yushua said. You're still as stupid as ever. Jiang Changkong, shook his head and sighed. Jiang Changkong, you always make us angry, Fairy Zilan said angrily. Jiang Changkong looked at the fish and prawns sent by Prime Minister Turtle. He peeled the shell and ate it himself. Did I make any merit before? The two fairies were silent. Jiang Changkong had just brought back the golden crow egg. That was a great merit. Since you're here, try the delicacies of the East Sea and relax for 2 days. After saying that, Jiang Changkong looked at Little Dragon King and said unhappily, I already said, don't eat it raw. This was Little Dragon King's bad habit. He liked to eat sea races creatures raw. No matter how he was persuaded, he wouldn't change. Ao Qingyu didn't say anything. She also wanted to eat it raw. She would eat it secretly every time. The two fairies didn't say anything else. They had also taken it for granted. So what if the heavenly courts don't want to use it? Why are they still sticking their faces to us? After slapping the left side of his face, he even extended the right side of his face. Jiang Changkong was thinking about how to fight his way up to the heavenly court and become the strongest existence in the celestial world. In the following time, Jiang Changkong's subbody brought the two fairies to play in the East Sea. They looked at the underwater scenery and took them to the fishing village by the sea. The fishing villages that he had subdued were now living very well, living in peace and contentment. Jiang Changkong's main body was studying a map of the world of immortals. Shi Wanzai had already finished drawing the map of the territories ruled by the heavenly court. It had to be said that some celestial sects were very powerful. Even if a celestial king went there, he would have to smile apologetically. There were two major celestial sects in the territories ruled by the heavenly court. It was said that their patriarchs had secluded themselves for many years and no longer cared about worldly affairs. Those two patriarchs were even honored guests of the heavenly emperor, who had once invited them to become an overlord in the skies, only to be politely declined. One was the immortal sect of Zhen Yuan, which was said to have a legacy from the ancient era and was founded by great immortal Zhen Yuan, the ancestor of the earth immortals of Wu Zhuang Monastery. The other was the Penglai immortal sect, which had a legacy from the ancient era. The patriarchs of those two immortal sects possessed unfathomable power, and no one knew what level they had reached. All they knew was that these two immortal sects were as steady as Mount Tai in the face of chaos. Aside from those two immortal sects, there were other factions. Some of the more powerful immortal sects had immortal monarchs and immortal kings. There were also some nations. The Proud Sea Nation was a small nation, while most major nations had immortal kings. There were 4 major nations: Heaven, Sky River, Xianqing, and Great Wilderness. The Sky River Kingdom was the closest to the Proud Sea Nation. Basically, those were the territories ruled by the heavenly court. Any further, and they would be outside the heavenly court. After putting away the maps, Jiang Changkong listened to the reports from the demons about the Proud Sea Nation. Some lesser demons were willing to live in the Proud Sea Nation. Some humans also tried to take care of the younger demons and raise them together. Everything was going well. These demons all wanted the power of the heavens. Having the power of the heavens meant that one's destiny would not be bad in the future. As the people of the Proud Sea Nation worshipped the demon emperors and demon emperors, the immortal title in Jiang Changkong's body changed again. Streaks of faintly discernible energy flew out of his body and went somewhere unknown. The demons near the Demon King's palace were also changing silently. Dijun, what does your immortal title mean? Jiang Changkong manifested his divine spirit and held the immortal title, so nothing could be seen. I wonder if the heavenly court will pay more attention to the heavenly god of justice after this is over. Jiang Changkong opened the heavenly book and received a lot of feedback. Under the heavenly court's full nurturing, Lu Ji had already reached the late stage divine immortal. He believed that he would soon reach the pinnacle of the divine immortal realm, and he also had the power of the heavens. Apart from him, there were 4 other pinnacle divine immortals, including the chaotic body, who could all come into contact with the power of the heavens. With the power of the heavens and the strength of a pinnacle divine immortal, he could really be said to be an invincible existence in the divine immortal realm. However, His combat power had already surpassed the divine immortal realm. Of all the choices, he actually chose the East Sea. Wasn't he courting death? The East Sea is my territory. After putting away the heavenly book of justice, Jiang Changkong closed his eyes and waited for the battle. Lu Ji and the others had the help of the heavenly court, so they were treated better than him. They directly let the immortals and those from the lower realms line up to see if they were guilty and enforce the law. This way of obtaining the power of the heavens was too fast. If he had been treated like this back then, he would probably be a real immortal lord by now. Thinking of this, it was impossible for Jiang Changkong to not feel angry. He wanted to smash the heavenly court, but unfortunately, he couldn't do it now. Time didn't pass any faster because of his anger. Jiang Changkong almost endured the rest of time. The day of the battle finally arrived. Old Ape Sun Yuan personally brought him to the East Sea, accompanied by Greenwood Demon Lord and Sherwan Zai. Zhu 19 also followed. The other monster monarchs were all stationed in Aohai Nation. Light shone in the sky above the East Sea. Heavenly Monarch Zui personally led the heavenly soldiers and 5 immortals. The East Sea's sea race retreated to the Ascension Pond under the leadership of the Dragon King. The 2 fairies were also there, so was Jiang Changkong's secondary body. Old Ape somersaulted and brought Jiang Changkong and the others to the sky above the East Sea. Heavenly Monarch Zui, you found these 5 pieces of trash? Jiang Changkong stood still and looked at Lu Ji and the others disdainfully. Monster, don't be so arrogant. I will capture you alive later. Lu Ji raised his head and looked down at him. Recently, Lu Ji's life had reached its peak. He was full of joy and didn't take any immortal seriously. The other 4 immortals were also disdainful. A monster dares to challenge the authority of the heavenly court? How reckless. Heavenly Monarch Ziwei doesn't know how to teach people, but I can teach them how to behave in their place. Jiang Changkong rose into the sky and looked around. Where is the heavenly court's heavenly god of justice? Are you too scared to come out after seeing me, the heavenly monster of justice? Lu Ji jumped out and shouted angrily, How dare you! I am a new heavenly god of justice. Jiang Changkong glanced at him and snorted. Are you worthy? Chapter 549. Lu Ji was thoroughly agitated by the question, Are you worthy? His expression was ferocious, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. Monster, I will kill you today. Enough! Heavenly King Ziwei shouted and looked at Jiang Changkong. Monster Emperor, do you really want to fight 5 rounds alone? 3 rounds are enough, Jiang Changkong said calmly. Maybe you will admit defeat after 1 round. Arrogant, Heavenly King, please fight me, Lu Ji said impatiently. He couldn't wait to strike and kill this so-called demon emperor. He wanted to let him know that he was the new heavenly god of justice and had the right to be the heavenly god of justice. In fact, he wanted to tell everyone that he was stronger than Jiang Changkong and had done better than him. Then here you go. Heavenly King Zui ignored Lu Ji and looked at a peak immortal. Yes, Heavenly King. Then he stepped out of the heavenly court's team. Lu Ji was a little displeased, but the voice beside his ear calmed him down. Watch this monster emperor carefully and find his weakness. Lu Ji quickly returned to his original position and looked at Jiang Changkong coldly. Monster emperor, be careful, Zhu 19 said in a low voice. Don't worry, they're just a bunch of trash, Jiang Changkong said disdainfully and stepped into the battlefield. Under the sea, Jiang Changkong used the power of the heavens to observe the changes in the sky. What right does this Lu Ji have to call himself the heavenly god of justice? Fairy Xylan said angrily. I didn't realize it before, but now it seems that he's just an arrogant villain, Fairy Yushua said coldly. But this monster emperor is so arrogant. Fairy Xylan looked at Jiang Changkong strangely. He's even more arrogant than you. Jiang Changkong. That's me. If I wasn't afraid of the heavenly court, I would be even more arrogant. Do you believe me? I really don't want Lu Ji to win, but this concerns the interests of the heavenly court, and this monster emperor is so arrogant. I better pray that the other immortals of the heavenly court win. The two fairies looked at the battle that was about to begin and said softly, in the sky above the East Sea, General Nan, he was at the peak of the immortal realm. Gray primal chaos energy interweaved in the sky. This was a primal chaos body. I heard that the heavenly court's heavenly god of justice is a chaotic body. It looks like the heavenly court is ready to replace him. Jiang Chongkong sneered and looked at Nan He indifferently. Can you become the new heavenly god of justice? It's enough to kill you. With a cold bellow, Nan He's spear, a top-tier grade 4 immortal artifact, was like a dragon. Its might was pushed to the limit. Jiang Chongkong's aura was concealed as he pointed his finger. Ding! The spear stopped, and his index finger collided with the spear. Surprisingly, it was not injured at all. It would appear that your chaotic body is still lacking. Jiang Chongkong sneered. Divine light burst out from his fingertips, and the divine fire of the sun rose. The terrifyingly high temperature caused the top grade 4 celestial artifact to quickly become boiling hot and red, showing signs of melting. Kill! With a cold shout, an indescribable force of heaven rose from Nan He's body. In an instant, Nan He's aura skyrocketed. A supreme and noble aura was emitted. Heaven's blessing. You're far from it. Jiang Chongkong snorted and waved his hand. The divine fire of the sun swept out. Boom! Splat! Gray immortal blood splattered into the East Sea. General Nan He fell into the East Sea like a shooting star. Rumble! Terrifying shock waves surged, and the seawater turned upside down. The East Sea shook, and countless amounts of gray immortal blood merged into the seawater. Nan He's head tilted to the side, and he fainted. Jiang Chongkong said calmly, Heavenly King Ziwei, please send an expert out. The Monster Emperor is mighty. How can these useless people of the Heavenly Court be a match for the Monster Emperor? Zhu 19 said proudly. Sun Yuan, the old ape, also stood up straight. Compared to the Monster Emperor, these useless people of the Heavenly Court are only inferior to old ancestor Qi Tian. 108,000 miles. Heavenly King Ziwei's expression did not change. He said calmly, It's just one round. Lu Kuan, you'll fight this round. Yes, Heavenly King. Lu Kuan's expression was solemn. The power of heaven gathered in his body, and his supreme aura appeared again. He surpassed the immortal realm and was infinitely close to the immortal Lord realm. The 5 immortals chosen by the Heavenly Court were not chosen randomly. They were truly powerful immortals. Previously, Nan He had the cultivation of a peak immortal, and with a chaos body, it was almost impossible to find a match for him in the immortal realm. Although Lu Kuan did not have a special immortal body, he had a trace of the bloodline of an ancient demon, Lu Wu. The moment he attacked, Lu Kuan activated the demon blood in his body, and a huge illusory image of Lu Wu appeared behind him. Human face, tiger body, tiger claws, and 9 tails. Jiang Chongkong said calmly, You should belong to the monster race. Monster race? Just a bunch of beasts. Lu Kuan sneered and charged over on his immortal artifact. You can't either. Jiang Chongkong said calmly. He flipped his hand, and the divine sun fire swept out. Boom! The divine sun fire devoured Lu Kuan directly, and the gray chaotic divine power was mixed within. Bang! Lu Kuan was unable to resist at all. The difference between the two was too great. He fell down, and the fragrance of meat wafted from his body. Jiang Chongkong looked at Heavenly Monarch Ziwei again. Heavenly Monarch, it's too obvious that you went easy on them. Why did you choose 2 such weaklings? Heavenly Monarch Ziwei's expression changed slightly. Monster Emperor, you haven't won yet. I hope you can still be so arrogant. I'm used to being arrogant. I don't know what it means to keep a low profile. Jiang Chongkong raised his head slightly and looked at the immortals. Let's end this farce. Heavenly Monarch Ziwei harumphed coldly and gave Lu Ji a look. Lu Ji could not wait any longer. He charged out and opened the Heavenly Book of Justice. Beast, atone for your sins today. Jiang Chongkong's mouth twitched. I'm a heavenly monster of justice. You idiot. Can't you get the information? Heavenly Monarch Ziwei's face darkened. If a heavenly monster of justice was guilty, how could he take on the role of justice? The heavenly book slowly opened, and a message appeared. Dongwang Changyue, a heavenly monster of justice who has made countless contributions. Lu Ji, heavenly monarch Ziwei, and the immortals. It was fine if he was a heavenly monster of justice who had made countless contributions. But what the F***CK was this? Why would the heavens be angry if he was killed? Just whose side was the heavens on? This was even better than the heavenly court's heavenly god of justice. What, are you scared? Jiang Chongkong suppressed his laughter and looked at them with disdain. I'm the real deal. You imposters don't even have immortal positions. Do you think you can beat me in terms of the power of the heavens? Lu Ji took a deep breath and suppressed the shock in his heart. He then threw the heavenly book into the sky. Whoosh! Boundless power of the heavens surged into Lu Ji's body. The blue ocean also released bursts of power to enhance Lu Ji. Boom! A boundless aura rose, and the aura of a monarch exuded from his body, allowing Lu Ji to break through the limits of an immortal. The immortal lord had reached the immortal lord level. Lu Ji was like a high and mighty monarch looking down at Jiang Chongkong. The heavenly book shone and enhanced him. Monster, even if I don't kill you, I can still suppress you here for countless years. Do you really think you're the heavenly god of justice? Jiang Chongkong sneered, and the heavenly book vibrated. Demonic aura surged into the sky along with the power of the heavens. No, a tragic cry sounded. Before Lu Ji could feel this power, his body was like a deflated balloon, and his power rapidly dropped. Chapter 550. This emperor is the heavenly demon of the heavenly court of justice. And you, a fake, think you're the heavenly god of justice just because you have the heavenly book? Jiang Chongkong sneered and transformed into the form of a golden crow. His ferocious aura soared into the sky. Heavenly monarch Ziwei's expression changed drastically. A ray of purple light entered the East Sea. Demon monarch, hurry up and attack. That heavenly monarch Ziwei must be shameless enough to go find the heavenly god of justice. Zhu 19 hurriedly said. Lu Ji's expression changed, and he quickly retreated. As long as heavenly monarch Ziwei could find the heavenly god of justice and bestow upon him, his combat prowess would reach the immortal lord level, and he would be able to crush a demonic emperor in one fell swoop. There's no rush. Take another look at my heavenly book. Jiang Chongkong's expression was cold. The heavenly book appeared. Lu Ji, stealing the heavenly book of justice, a capital crime. Reward, 10,000 power of heaven. Jiang Chongkong didn't expect to have such a pleasant surprise when he saw Lu Ji again. Only Lu Ji, who stole the heavenly book of justice, was sentenced to death. No, I didn't steal this. This is fake. This heavenly book of yours is fake. Lu Ji roared. The heavenly book of justice had clearly been bestowed upon him by heavenly monarch Ziwei, not stolen by him. Goodbye, Jiang Chongkong said indifferently and slapped Lu Ji with his palm. Heavenly monarch Ziwei wanted to move, but he was stopped by the old ape. Below, Zi Guang shouted coldly. Jiang Chongkong, what are you waiting for? The only response he got was silence. Boom! The divine fire of the sun, mixed with the power of heaven, engulfed Lu Ji. The divine fire burned and turned the celestial artifact into ashes. The tome of justice escaped into the East Sea and disappeared. Heavenly King, best of 5, our demon race has won. In the future, do not interfere with the actions of the demon race. Jiang Chongkong raised his head and said coldly. Heavenly monarch Ziwei's lips moved, but he didn't know what to say. We won't disturb Heavenly King any longer. You have to choose a new heavenly god of justice. Goodbye. The old macaque chuckled and left on a cloud with Jiang Chongkong and the others. Jiang Chongkong, come out and see this king. Heavenly King Ziwei roared in anger. Purple light filled the sky. Thunderclouds surged, and the East Sea shook as if doomsday had arrived. Heavenly monarch Ziwei sure is angry. With his hands behind his back, Jiang Chongkong flew out of the East Sea with the tomes of justice in his hand. Heavenly King, I have come to deliver the tomes of justice to you. Heavenly Monarch Ziwei said coldly, Jiang Changkong, why didn't you attack just now? Did you know that taking the tomes of arcane is a crime punishable by death? Heavenly King, if you don't need this heavenly book, I'll throw it away. Jiang Changkong threw it away casually and sank into the East Sea. Stop! Heavenly Monarch Ziwei roared coldly, with killing intent in his eyes. Do you really think I don't dare to kill you? Heavenly King, give it a try. Jiang Changkong snickered and walked to Heavenly Monarch Ziwei's side. This is no longer the past. The heavens are watching. If you want to destroy the judiciary and the Eastern Sea, then go ahead and try. You represent the Eastern Sea? Heavenly Monarch Ziwei asked coldly. Heavenly Monarch, you can consider changing to a Dragon King. A tender voice sounded, and the little Dragon King of the Eastern Sea rushed out of the sea. I represent the Eastern Sea as a substitute Dragon King. I don't mind joining the monster race. Welcome. The monster race welcomes the entire sea tribe of the Eastern Sea. Spatial fluctuations appeared, and Jiang Changkong and the others returned. You didn't leave? Heavenly Monarch Ziwei's expression was extremely ugly. How can I miss such a great show? Jiang Changkong smiled. Heavenly God of Justice, why don't you join a monster race and become the Heavenly Monster of Justice? I can be the Monster Emperor in peace. Monster race, don't go too far. The Heavenly God of Justice belongs to the Heavenly Court. Heavenly Monarch Ziwei roared angrily. Jiang Changkong's subbody said indifferently, the Heavenly God of Justice enforces the law on behalf of the heavens. He is the Heavenly God of Justice, not the Heavenly Courts. Heavenly Monarch Ziwei, that really did seem to be the case. Was it really okay for him to join the monster race? This is the Heavenly Court's matter. The monster race should leave, Heavenly Monarch Ziwei said coldly. Jiang Changkong shrugged. Heavenly God of Justice, Dragon King of the East Sea, I'll be waiting for you. The Heavenly Court is tyrannical. If you treat meritorious subjects like this, why don't you join my demon court and build a new world? After saying that, the old ape left with them. This time, they really left and returned to the Ao High Nation. Heavenly God of Justice, come back and see me. Heavenly Monarch Ziwei harumphed coldly and left. Depends on my mood, Jiang Changkong Subbody said indifferently before throwing out the Heavenly Book of Justice. Heavenly Monarch, you forgot to bring your Heavenly Book. Heavenly Monarch Ziwei was enraged. Depends on my mood? Did he not take me, a Heavenly Monarch, seriously at all? If you really dare to join the monster race, I won't let the Eastern Sea off. Heavenly Monarch Ziwei threw down a threat before putting away the Heavenly Book and leaving with his troops. Within the Eastern Sea, Jiang Changkong brought them back to the Dragon Palace. In the Ascension Pond, Shrimp Dehai was still condensing his immortal body. With so much immortal blood, he had already become an immortal. Heavenly God of Justice, you won't really join the monster race, right? What Father said just now must have been said out of anger. Don't take it seriously, Fairy Xylan hurriedly said. The Eastern Sea doesn't welcome you, Little Dragon King said angrily. Prime Minister Turtle, take the two fairies and leave. Let's go. Yushui shook her head and left with Xylan. The Eastern Sea Dragon Palace was sealed with divine power. Ao Qingyu sat at the side and said indifferently, Dongwang Changyue, Heavenly Monster of Justice. What a familiar name and identity. What do you think, Changkong? Do your own thing and don't think too much. Jiang Changkong coughed lightly and said, next time, don't eat raw seafood. Ao Qingyu didn't say anything else. When Jiang Changkong was in the mortal world, he used the alias Jiang Changyue. Now, Dongwang Changyue suddenly appeared, and he was also a heavenly immortal of justice. Even though many things were impossible, Ao Qingyu still believed that Dongwang Changyue was also this guy. He actually became the monster emperor of the monster race and the heavenly monster of justice. Normal people really couldn't accept such a change. On the other side, Old Ape brought them back to Ao High Nation and told the monster race about this matter. The monster emperor easily suppressed the three deities and almost angered Heavenly King Ziwei to death. Let me tell you, the Heavenly Court is really despicable. They actually suppressed the heavenly God of justice and even snatched the heavenly book. Zhu 19 laughed and told the monster monarchs about this matter. In the end, the monster emperor even invited the heavenly God of justice to join the monster court. You didn't see Ziwei's old face turn black. Heavenly God of justice, sigh, what a pity. I thought he was someone comparable to that ancient person. Old ape Sun Yuan sighed and said, that person is said to be above billions of deities. I guess the heavenly court is also afraid of this matter. That should be the case. The heavenly God of justice is too powerful. If he doesn't make mistakes, no one can suppress him. Hearing this, Jiang Changkong smiled faintly and said, back then, the heavenly God of justice and the Queen Mother also had to abide by the heavenly laws. Would the heavenly God of justice dare to do it? As long as the heavenly God of justice violates the heavenly laws, the heavenly God of justice has the strength to take him down. Sun Yuan explained, it's just that the heavenly God of justice is the ruler of the heavenly court after all. His strength is far above the heavenly God of justice. Jiang Changkong nodded. That's right. However, that heavenly God of justice doesn't listen to orders. The heavenly court probably wants to prevent this from happening. They want to kill the heavenly God of justice. Chapter 551. The position of heavenly God of justice was too terrifying. As long as one was strong enough, as long as they broke the heavenly law, anyone could do it. It was expected that the heavenly court wanted to be in their hands. It's a pity that the heavenly God of justice doesn't know how to make mistakes. Sun Yuan shook his head. He's too straightforward. If he makes a mistake and the heavenly court gets hold of him, he wouldn't be here today. But then, he won't be able to resist the heavenly court and will forever be a dog. Jiang Changkong said indifferently, now that we've pressured the heavenly court, even if the heavenly God of justice doesn't get any benefits, his life will be a little better. But he won't be grateful to us, Zhu 19 said. We just have to do our best. The heavenly God of justice can't break the heavenly law and kill the innocent. Jiang Changkong smiled. Jiang Changkong closed his eyes, and some heavenly laws appeared in his mind. The difference between mortals and immortals, humans and demons, these were all set by the heavens. But that was in the past. After so many years, it was time to change, starting from Aohai Nation. Jiang Changkong reasoned with the immortal for the first time. In the eyes of the heavens, all living beings are equal. Why is there a difference between mortals and immortals? Why can't humans and demons live together? The immortal sent a message. The difference is too big. If one is not careful, there will be a disaster and the lives of mortals will be disrupted. In the ancient times, mortals and immortals coexisted. How do you explain that? At that time, there were many immortals in the mortal world I was in, said Jiang Changkong. I'm not sure. The heavens haven't fully recovered. I don't know what happened back then, the immortal said. Jiang Changkong said indifferently, you and I are dependent on each other now. I want the power of the heavens, and you want to recover. Why don't we change together? The immortal said, the heavens are always changing, but they will never change. Small changes can be made, but the big changes can't. Sometimes small changes can become big changes, just like the butterfly effect. I believe you know what that is. Jiang Changkong said calmly, everything changed after I came here. The heavens can't stop you now. You could try it in Aohai Nation. The heavenly tomes won't appear. They violate the laws of heaven. Humans and demons temporarily coexist. Many places in the immortal world are like this. Previously in the heavenly court, I fell out with the heavenly court. Now that the demons are here, I don't know how long I can last. Now that I'm talking to you, I don't know if we'll turn against each other in the future. Jiang Changkong laughed at himself. After entering the immortal world, it seemed like he couldn't get along with anyone except for the East Sea. When the time comes, when you have the strength, you can walk on your path of success. The heavens have their responsibilities. After saying that, the immortal occupation sank into silence. Jiang Changkong's consciousness returned. Heavens, you are indispensable to the path of cultivation. The power of heaven has so much essence, qi, and spirit. How can I let it go? Jiang Changkong felt that if he had the strength, he might not be able to restrain himself from attacking the heavens. Zhu 19 and the others had already left to deal with the affairs of the Aohai nation. During this period of time, the name of the demon court had spread. The entire Aohai nation was paying respects to the primordial demon emperor and primordial demon emperor. The nearby demons also came to seek refuge, and the number of demons under Jiang Changkong also increased. With more subordinates, it was inevitable that some would be disobedient. Jiang Changkong didn't stand on ceremony and directly took over. This way, some demons who were unwilling to abide by the heavenly rules could only leave. The demons also spread the news according to his instructions. The heavenly court was going to carry out a great purge to obtain the power of heaven. Some demons who wanted to run immediately ran back in fear and obeyed. The demons who wanted to run would die if they were caught by the heavenly court unless they could run out of the territory ruled by the heavenly court. Zhu 19 also spread the news of the immortal layout of the demon court and the heavenly court. Once they joined the demon court, the heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals of the heavenly court couldn't kill them for no reason. Small-scale battles depended on their own abilities. Large-scale battles wouldn't happen for the time being. As the reputation of the demon court spread, the immortal occupation in Jiang Changkong's body shook violently and continuously released a special aura. A month later, the immortal occupation in his body shone brightly, affecting all the demons who joined the demon court. In the distant region, the hiding place of the demon court finally welcomed a change today. A special power was awakened. A golden crow looked up to the sky and let out a long cry, prying into the legendary realm. Power of heaven. Old ape sensed the power of heaven. Sun Yuan entered the Demon Emperor Palace excitedly and reported the matter. Demon Emperor 19 has already obtained the power of heaven and is vaguely at the immortal Lord realm. Zhu 19 also came. Demon Emperor, quickly let me see if my sins have been washed away. Shi Wanzai hurriedly said, during this period of time, I have been doing good deeds and abiding by the heavenly rules. Jiang Changkong took out the heavenly book. Shi Wanzai was still sentenced to death, but there was an additional line on it. It was to repent and work hard to wash away his sins. Thank you, Demon Emperor. I will definitely work hard. Shi Wanzai said excitedly. Old Ape also wants to quickly obtain the power of heaven and step into the immortal king realm. Old Ape's son Yuan chuckled. The demon court was in full swing. Many great demons had tasted the sweetness of the benefits. Now, they no longer had the violent hearts of the past and began to change. Jiang Changkong smiled and nodded. Everyone, work hard and reach a higher realm as soon as possible. It would be best if all of you can prove your Tao and become sages. This is all thanks to the Demon Emperor. Old Ape also has some immortal wine and an immortal peach for the Demon Emperor. 19 also has some immortal pills for the Demon Emperor. 9 Feathers also has some treasures for the Demon Emperor. Green Wood, one after another, the Demon Kings offered their treasures. Jiang Changkong led them to obtain the power of heaven. They also had to express their sincerity. Jiang Changkong raised his hand and said, some immortal stones, spiritual accumulations, and golden pills will be enough. The other resources are not of much use to me. Old Ape still has some of these things. Immediately get the children to bring them from Flower Fruit Mountain. We also have some. The group of demon kings hurriedly said and began to make arrangements. Jiang Changkong smiled and said, thank you, everyone. One day, I will lead all of you to attack the heavenly court and build a new world. We are willing to follow the Demon Emperor for eternity. The 37 demon kings, including Sun Yuan, bowed in response. Soon, the resources he wanted were delivered. They were all of his use. There were also some below the immortal level that could be used to reward the other demons. Those above the immortal level valued the power of heaven more. Jiang Changkong announced that he would be going into seclusion. This time, the number of immortal stones sent over was not small. There were 1,200 pieces of top-notch 4th-grade immortal stones. Just this alone was enough to improve his acquired chaotic Tao body. There were 2,000 top-tier 4th-grade immortal stones for 1,000 mid-tier and 6,000 low-tier. There were hundreds of thousands below the immortal level that were left to reward the other demons. It was just the beginning. The immortal and demon kings did not care, but the lesser demons could not. They had to be rewarded. These 4th-grade immortal stones were enough for him to improve greatly. Total essence, spirit, and spirit. 2,480,000. In the past month, he had gotten more than 170,000, including those from before. The peak of the immortal level was no problem. The next step was the immortal lord level. Jiang Chongkong closed his eyes and began to improve his acquired chaotic body. Endless chaotic divine power surged into his body and tempered it. The green light increased, and his defense and strength increased rapidly. Chapter 552. Jiang Chongkong, Peak Immortal, True God, 4th Revolution Mystic Art. Desheng, 1/900 000 Postnatal Chaotic Tao Body. Desheng, 1/900 000 Golden Crow Immortal Scripture. Complete. 1/337500 Essence, Energy and Spirit. 2354362 inch. It's no problem to reach the peak. I'll also improve the Golden Crow Immortal Scripture to the limit. Jiang Chongkong looked at his data and was glad that he had come to the demon race and tricked a bunch of demons. Now that the demons could feel the power of heaven, the demon court's heaven had also been revived. Of course, in essence, it didn't matter which heaven it was. They were all part of the heavenly Tao. The heavenly Tao should have been split into several parts, and each of them took a part. The demon Dharch wanted me to raise the name of the demon court. The heavens really don't recognize me, even if the immortal position in my body was formed by the heavenly court. The heavenly Tao didn't care which side he stood on as long as it was beneficial to the heavenly Tao's revival. Heavenly court, immortal court, celestial court, demon court. The heavenly Tao was nurturing Gu. Whoever had the last laugh would be the true master of the heavenly court and unify the celestial world. The celestial Dharch of the heavenly court would try his best to block the news and not let it spread. The celestial Dharch could only choose to compromise when the demons knew, even if they were here to snatch food. But the celestial Dharch had no choice. He wasn't ready and hadn't seen the Tao of the Sage. I just don't know what Di Jun is planning and how many tricks he has left. I might really work for him when the time comes. Jiang Chongkong murmured and continued to improve. The law of chaos and chaotic divine power surge again. Dense chaotic divine power rushed out of his body and filled the Demon King Palace. The Golden Crow Immortal Scripture was also improving rapidly, reaching the limit of an immortal. A chaotic golden crow appeared above Jiang Chongkong's head and looked around. Screech! A cry penetrated the Demon King Palace and spread out. Wherever the cry passed, the demons and the humans of Aohai all felt their hearts tremble. The Demon Emperor's strength had increased again. The cry lasted for a day before it weakened. The Demon Emperor had no fear, only surprise. To them, the increase in the Demon Monarch's strength would only bring them benefits. A Demon Emperor that needed the support of the Demon Clan had no deterrence. Only a powerful Demon Emperor could provide them with security. The other side, within the Heavenly God of Justice Palace, the closed doors of the palace were finally opened. Jiang Chongkong's doppelganger sat on the divine throne, and Heavenly Monarch Ziwei sat below him. Heavenly Monarch Ziwei was enraged. This Heavenly God of Justice was becoming more and more arrogant. Upon seeing him, she did not show the slightest bit of respect, nor did she stand up to welcome him. They didn't take him seriously at all. Why are you in such a hurry to find me, Heavenly King? Jiang Chongkong asked indifferently. Heavenly Monarch Ziwei's face convulsed upon hearing this. He felt like he was the subordinate, while the Heavenly God of Justice was his superior. Is the Heavenly Book of Justice punishable by death for anyone who holds it? Heavenly Monarch Ziwei asked coldly as he repressed his rage. I'm not sure, Jiang Chongkong said lightly. Heavenly Monarch, if you want the Heavenly Book, then I'll give it to you. I've only just become the heavenly god of justice, so how am I supposed to know if there will be any repercussions? Jiang Changkong said coldly. How about you try taking the position of an immortal, heavenly monarch? You don't need to threaten me with the position of an immortal. Even if there's a problem with the heavenly book, it will only be with Lu Ji. All of the other immortals have received the power of the heavens. Heavenly monarch Ziwei raised the heavenly book. There will be no problem with borrowing the heavenly book of justice. What are you trying to say, heavenly monarch? Jiang Changkong asked in an indifferent voice. You want me to let you go? Let you continue to enforce the law, right? Heavenly monarch Ziwei chuckled coldly. If I want to go, do you think your words will matter? Jiang Changkong didn't give him any face. Heavenly monarch Ziwei said in a cold voice, It will be a piece of cake for me to trap you. Jiang Changkong sneered and didn't say anything else. It would take quite a bit of effort to trap him. Heavenly monarch Ziwei said again, This time, I want you to go with me, but you will not be the one to enforce the law. Heavenly monarch, do you think I will agree? Jiang Changkong asked in an indifferent voice. If you don't agree, the Eastern Sea will force you to agree, Heavenly monarch Ziwei said coldly. It's a pity for Zilan, such a naive and stupid woman, to have a despicable father like you. Jiang Changkong said mockingly. Heavenly monarch Ziwei's expression turned cold. If you dare to insult Zilan again, I will not forgive you. Let's talk about it. Jiang Changkong changed the topic. Tianhe Nation. Someone will take you there in 2 days. Don't ask too many questions. You'll be free once you're done. Heavenly King Ziwei tossed the heavenly scroll to him and left. Jiang Changkong held the heavenly book and sneered. Free? The divine palace of justice closed again, and Jiang Changkong's figure disappeared. Inside the Monster King Palace, Jiang Changkong opened his eyes. The golden crow disappeared, and the chaotic divine power returned to his body. Jiang Changkong, peak of immortal, true God, 4th revolution mystic art, perfect, 1/2. 7 million acquired chaotic Tao body, perfect, 1/2. 7 million golden crow immortal scripture, perfect, 33750/33750 essence. Energy, spirit, 555362 inch. What secret does the Heavenly River Kingdom have that caught Heavenly Monarch Ziwei's attention? Could it be that there's a devil over there? Jiang Changkong muttered and opened the gate of the Monster King court. Monster King, Zhu 19, who was guarding the door, came in immediately and said respectfully, Congratulations, Monster King. Your strength has improved greatly. Yes, how much do you know about the Heavenly River Kingdom? Jiang Changkong asked. The Heavenly River Kingdom. Legend has it that a heavenly river fell in the ancient times, but no one has ever seen it. Apart from this legend, there is nothing special. We only know that there is an immortal king in the kingdom, Zhu 19 replied. Then he asked, Monster King plans to attack the Heavenly River Kingdom? I'm afraid we are not strong enough. The Heavenly River Kingdom had an immortal king. Their strongest, old ape Sun Yuan, was only a peak immortal lord. Unless the monster race sent more experts, but if that happened, the Heavenly Court would definitely not agree. I plan to go over and take a look. Forget about attacking. Jiang Changkong pondered and said, The monster race needs to hide their strength and bide their time. Making a big move will only make their foundation unstable. Monster King is right. Now that the various forces are in chaos, it is difficult for us to occupy too much with our strength. Zhu 19 heaved a sigh of relief. With their strength, they could only stand firm because the monster race behind them was powerful. I will personally go to the Heavenly River Kingdom. You don't have to follow me, Jiang Changkong said. Zhu 19's expression changed slightly. Monster King, you can't. The Heavenly Court is despicable and shameless. Don't worry, if the Heavenly Court wanted to do that, Heavenly Monarch Ziwei would have already taken me away. Jiang Changkong waved his hand and said, With my identity as the Monster King, the Heavenly River Kingdom would not dare to attack me. Don't worry. Monster King, what about those immortal lords? Zhu 19 was still worried. No need to inform them. My cultivation level has improved, and I am not afraid of mid-stage immortal lords anymore, Jiang Changkong said confidently. Zhu 19 still wanted to say something, but Jiang Changkong waved his hand and dismissed her. Leaving behind a divine power clone, Jiang Changkong secretly left for the Heavenly River Celestial Kingdom. He was a little curious about how Heavenly Monarch Ziwei planned to give him freedom. With the identity of the Monster King, he could only tear a hole in the Heavenly Court's territory and stir up this mess. As for asking the EC to side with the monster race, it was just a casual remark. It was impossible. When he was strong enough, he could make the East Sea independent and contact the other 3 seas and underworld. He did not know what their situation was now. Chapter 553. The Sky River Celestial Kingdom was a kingdom ruled by an immortal king. Immortals and true gods were everywhere here. Of course, there were very few true gods. Jiang Changkong only saw 5 true gods along the way. The capital of the Celestial Kingdom, Sky River City. Jiang Changkong arrived and entered an inn while concealing himself. Jiang Changkong sat down cross-legged and closed his eyes to sense his secondary body. 2 days had passed. The Heavenly God of Justice Palace opened again. Heavenly God of Justice, let's go. A cold voice was heard. A white-robed immortal stood in front of the door. Beside him were the 2 fairies Zilan and Yushui. Jiang Changkong held the heavenly book and stepped out of the palace. Let's go. He quietly sized up the person beside him. Immortal Lord. However, he was only a secondary body with the chaotic divine power he had left behind. He could not stop an immortal lord. He was also unable to determine how powerful that white-gowned immortal was. The white-robed immortal ignored him and led him into the southern heavenly gate. However, they did not descend to the East Sea this time. They went straight to the Sky River Celestial Kingdom. Fairy Zilan and Yu Shui stood beside him and said softly, "This is the divine I-Star Lord. His eyes can see through immortals, demons, and evil demons. You are betraying the heavenly court," Jiang Changkong said expressionlessly. The 2 fairies. "Is there something wrong with your brain? We warned you out of goodwill, but you don't appreciate it at all?" They really did not know what Jiang Changkong was thinking. Jiang Changkong did not want to appreciate it. He did not want to be soft-hearted when he fought the heavenly court. "Fairies, don't worry about an immortal," the divine I-Star Lord said coldly. If it were not for the 2 fairies' special identities, the divine I-Star Lord would not have brought them here. "Got it. Where are we going?" Fairy Yushui said calmly. "Pure River City." The divine I-Star Lord led them into the sky. Jiang Changkong did not say anything. His main body would come after receiving the news. The Pure River City was just an ordinary city in the Heavenly River Kingdom. He really couldn't understand why the Heavenly Court would notice this place. He had never heard of any powerful demons or devils in the Pure River City, but there was an immortal. The group of 4 soon arrived at the Pure River City. A golden barrier guarded the city, and the city gates were tightly shut. The divine I-Star Lord led them through the barrier. The city gate opened, and the smell of blood rushed out. The expressions of the 4 people changed drastically. Corpses covered the ground, and the streets of the city were filled with corpses. All sorts of blood flowed, and different colors of light bloomed. The 4 of them quickly checked the corpses. Most of them had died from the sharp claws tearing through their vital organs. Some had their heads chopped off, while others had their blood sucked dry. Demon Clan, this must be the work of the vile Demon Clan, Divine I-Star Lord said angrily. Monster race? Lord Tai-Bai Jinxing's words are too decisive. Jiang Changkong said indifferently, "If some demons suck blood, then why is all the blood here? These injuries are not the work of the Demon Clan. Who else could it be?" The Divine I-Star Lord said coldly. "Let's look around and see if there are any traces left by the Demon Clan." The Divine I-Star Lord snorted coldly and rose into the air. His eyes shone brightly, releasing divine light. Jiang Changkong and the other 2 were about to get up when they saw some hair and remnant demon chi appear where the divine light from the Divine I-Star Lord's eyes shone. Now, The heavenly god of justice has nothing to say, right? The divine Eye Star Lord put away the hair and wrapped it in a wisp of immortal light. His eyes followed the trail. Let's go. He brought Jiang Changkong and the other two into the pure river city Lord's mansion. The heavenly god city lord was killed with one strike. Golden blood flowed on the floor. The demon Qi finally disappeared here. That demon must still be nearby. The divine Eye Star Lord said with a serious expression, "Let's look around." Lord Taibai Jinxing, why are we here? Jiang Changkong asked. The pure river city lord bullied the people and committed countless crimes. I didn't expect that he would be killed by a demon first. The divine Eye Star Lord said with an ugly expression, "It must be the heavenly demon of justice of the demon clan. He came to enforce the law and snatch the power of heaven." The heavenly demon of justice is enforcing the law on behalf of the heavens. He would not attack those innocent people, Jiang Changkong said with a frown. The divine Eye Star Lord said coldly, "They are demons, extremely evil demons. The heavenly demon of justice would not kill them, but that does not mean that the other demons would not." Jiang Changkong thought to himself, could it be that the divine Eye Star Lord knew that his true body was here, so he made some arrangements to provide evidence? Or was it really done by the demon clan? Although he controlled Mount Huagua, there were many demon clans in the world. Many did not even know that he was a demon emperor. Star Lord, heavenly god of justice, look. What is this? Fairy Yushua said. The two looked over and saw the mark of a golden crow on the wall. Golden crow? The divine Eye Star Lord's expression changed. He came to the mark and moved his immortal power to cut it off. Buzz! The golden crow mark suddenly vibrated and swallowed the divine Eye Star Lord's immortal power. Boom! As the immortal power swallowed, the golden crow mark released beams of golden light that spread out and affected the entire city. Wherever the golden light passed, the blood shone brightly and quickly sank into the ground. Rumble! The entire pure river city lit up with startling immortal light. A suction force appeared and drowned everyone, including the divine Eye Star Lord. The world spun, and even Jiang Changkong's secondary body shook. Walala! The sound of flowing water could be heard. The pure river water contained abundant immortal qi, and it drowned the four. The wisp of demon qi that had appeared earlier also became stronger. Are you all right? The divine Eye Star Lord asked as he lifted the three with his immortal power. We're fine. What is this place? The two fairies looked up and looked around. They were in a river. The river water was clear and transparent, and it contained rich immortal qi. Jiang Changkong looked at the divine Eye Star Lord. The divine Eye Star Lord shook his head. I don't know. I sense the presence of demon qi. Let's go. The three nodded and followed the divine Eye Star Lord. The divine Eye Star Lord led them through the river quickly. Jiang Changkong discovered that there were no fish, prawns, or crabs in the river. There were no signs of life. The river water was sweet, and the immortal qi was abundant. This was an excellent treasure land, but there were no living creatures. After a while, the four came to the center of the river. The divine Eye Star Lord stopped and made a shushing gesture. In front of them was a young man in a golden crow robe. There was a crack on his forehead that looked like a heavenly eye. There was an ape and a red-robed woman beside him. Jiang Changkong, a replica of a demon emperor, the divine ape of Mount Huagua. In June 19, the ape's aura was unfathomable. It seemed like he was also an immortal lord, but he was far inferior to Sun Yuan. The young man in the golden crow robe had a very strong sun aura. He pointed with a finger, and divine fire evaporated the river water. Special patterns appeared in the river. Immortal Array. The immortal spirit array activated, and the young man retreated. The ape held a golden staff, split the river water, and smashed it down. Rumble. There was a shocking sound. The immortal array exploded, and a golden barrier appeared faintly. There was a temple inside. Let's work harder. The real heavenly river is about to appear, the young man in the golden crow robe said excitedly. He spat out sun divine fire and burned the immortal spirit array. The red-robed woman followed closely. Spider silk bombarded the array. Chapter 554. The spiderweb stirred and cracked the array lines. The golden staff smashed down, and the divine ape showed its brutality. Its majestic divine might shook the river. Wherever the divine might passed, the divine Star Lord led them and retreated quickly. It really is the demon emperor, the divine ape of Huagu Mountain, and that spider demon. The divine Star Lord said gloomily. They destroyed pure River City for the heavenly river. Fairy Xylan's pretty face turned cold. Fairy Yushua was puzzled. The heavenly demon of justice has killed many people. Why would the heavens choose him? The divine Star Lord looked at Jiang Changkong. Heavenly God of justice, show me your heavenly book. Jiang Changkong frowned and didn't move. Heavenly God of justice. The divine Star Lord frowned and patted him. Show me the heavenly book. I don't believe it either. Let's see what the heavens say. The heavenly book slowly opened, and the information appeared. Dongwang Changyue, peak immortal, sinful, death penalty. Sun Yuan, early stage immortal lord, sinful, death penalty. Zhu 19, peak immortal, sinful, death penalty. There are also rewards. Peak immortal, 10,000 each, and early stage immortal lord, 50,000. This situation was not right. Sun Yuan was clearly a peak immortal lord. These were all fake. The information from the heavenly book was either concealed by the heavens, or the three people's names were real. Moreover, the heavenly book didn't say it was the heavenly demon of justice and the divine ape of Huagu Mountain. It's really them. These demons are really despicable, Fairy Xylan said angrily. The divine Star Lord said coldly. Dongwang Changyue is not qualified to be the heavenly demon of justice. I'll have to trouble the heavenly God of justice to suppress those two immortals and let the two fairies enforce the law. Heavenly God of justice should do it himself, Fairy Yushua said lightly. This is Heavenly King Ziwei's will. After this, Heavenly God of justice will be free, the divine Star Lord said lightly. Free? Really? Heavenly God of justice will be able to enforce the law impartially like before? The two fairies hurriedly asked. Jiang Changkong said lightly. Heavenly King Ziwei won't be so kind, right? He didn't believe that Heavenly Monarch Ziwei would release him and allow him to continue enforcing the law like before. Jiang Changkong had made it clear that he wasn't going to give Heavenly Monarch Ziwei any face. Of course, in the future, Heavenly God of Justice, you can properly enforce the law in the lower realms. There's no need to return to the Heavenly Court. In the future, the Heavenly Court won't restrict you unless you want to ascend to the heavens yourself. The divine Star Lord said coldly. When Jiang Changkong heard this, he understood that these two fairies weren't really stupid. He was exiled by the Heavenly Court. On the surface, it was said that he was enforcing the law in the lower realm, but in reality, it had nothing to do with the Heavenly Court. Of course, if he wanted to go back, he could do so as long as he was obedient and became an obedient dog. If he were to enforce the law in the lower realm, the Heavenly Court would not care about him anymore. Even if he died, they would not care. Perhaps it would be better for him to die. That way, he wouldn't be killed by the Celestial Arch, and there wouldn't be any burden. This is good for both of us. The Heavenly God of Justice won't disturb the peace of the Heavenly Court. The divine Star Lord said calmly. What do you think, Heavenly God of Justice? Very good. Jiang Changkong smiled. Seeing his smile, the divine Star Lord's face turned cold. Cooperate well later. Don't make any mistakes. This is unfair to the Heavenly God of Justice. The two fairies frowned. The divine Star Lord said calmly. This is the Heavenly Monarch's will. Boom! The river shook, and a pillar of water shot up 1,000 feet high. The clear river water shone with celestial light. The immortal god array was finally broken. Rumble! A violent force rushed over, and a heavy pressure struck, causing the bodies of the four present to sink at the same time. The golden barrier pushed the river water apart, and a temple appeared. The three impostors immediately rushed toward the golden barrier. The golden barrier only blocked the river water, not the entry of living beings. Let's go and see what these three demons are up to, the divine Eye Star-Lord said coldly. The four followed closely. Behind them, Jiang Chankong's main body finally arrived, and he followed silently. "Who's there?" The ape suddenly stopped. A terrifying demonic aura bloomed around him, and he smashed his cudgel toward the four. Boom! The divine Eye Star-Lord blocked the metal cudgel with his sword, and a dazzling sword light slashed out. The divine Eye Star-Lord of the heavenly court. The ape's face turned serious, and a fierce glint appeared in his eyes. The metal cudgel glowed with golden light, and he smashed it toward the divine Eye Star-Lord. Clang! The long sword and the metal cudgel clashed. The two bodies shook at the same time, and they were forced back. And Heavenly King Ziwei's child. Take them down and make Heavenly King Ziwei regret it. The ape shouted coldly and pointed at the two fairies. Jiang Chankong was completely ignored. Okay. The young man and the red-robed woman attacked the two. How dare you? Jiang Chankong shouted coldly. The heavenly book trembled, and chaotic divine power surged, enveloping the two. The punch seemed to be able to split heaven and earth, and the river water dissipated automatically. Heavenly Book of Justice? You are the heavenly court's heavenly god of justice? The two's expressions changed at the same time, and a trace of fear flashed in their eyes. You are not that demon emperor. Jiang Chankong's punch landed, and the two deities were sent flying at the same time. They crashed into the temple, and blood splattered. Golden Crow Demon Emperor Dong Wang Changwei. Isn't he very arrogant? The two fairies were confused, and that demon emperor is very strong. The golden-robed young man was simply a weakling. He was about the same as Lu Ji without the power of heaven. Compared to that demon emperor, the difference was like heaven and earth. I'm just giving you a handicap. The golden-robed young man snorted and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. The crack between his eyebrows slowly opened. See my heavenly eye? Buzz. The heavenly eye opened, and a fiery divine light shot out, shining on Jiang Chankong. Pure destructive power. Jiang Chankong pointed with a finger, and the divine light shattered. With a flip of his palm, the river water stirred, and the two figures were suppressed like ants in his palm. Boom! Demon Emperor! The ape shouted angrily, forcing the divine Eye Star-Lord back, and smashed his cudgel at Jiang Chankong. The divine Eye Star-Lord's eyes shone with divine light. The divine ape had to withdraw his cudgel and fight with him again. Jiang Chankong suppressed the two, his expression cold. You are not demon emperors. I am not demon emperor. Are you? The young man looked at him coldly. Even though he was suppressed, he still had an arrogant air. The divine Eye Star-Lord said coldly, Jiang Chankong, stop talking nonsense. Quickly kill him. If not for the fact that we are just incarnations, how could we be defeated by you? The red-robed woman said disdainfully. So you're just incarnations. The two fairies suddenly understood. Just incarnations? That made it easy to explain. Jiang Chankong, you are ruining my reputation. My incarnations are really more powerful than you. Do it. Jiang Chankong did not ask anymore and handed the two over to the two fairies. It was a pity that the 20,000 essence, chi, and spirit were wasted. The two fairies did not hesitate anymore and picked up the heads. The two fairies kept the heads and felt the increase of the power of heaven. Their cultivation levels were also rising rapidly, and they actually reached the peak of the late-stage sky immortal. Is it the temple of cleansing altar? Jiang Chankong looked at the temple. The temple of cleansing altar? The two fairies were shocked. The envoy of the cleansing altar, Zhu Beiji, he also has another identity. He is the marshal of the heavenly canopy, and he leads the 360,000 soldiers of the heavenly river. Jiang Chankong could not hide the shock in his eyes. This was actually Zhu Beiji's place. Chapter 555. Thinking about it carefully, Jiang Chankong could understand. Back then, the Milky Way Immortal Kingdom was named after the Milky Way Immortal Kingdom when it fell into the Milky Way Kingdom. Now that the temple had appeared and the three of them had come to find the real Sky River, they were clearly here for the canopy marshal. Boom! Divine might surged out, and the river water trembled. The ape's body tumbled. It was no match for the divine Star Venerable, so it turned around and fled. The divine Star Lord's expression was grave. He did not give chase. This demon is very strong. I can't take him down in a short time. Let's see what's here first. That's fine too. This temple should be the dojo of the Canopy Marshal. The two fairies nodded. They could tell that the divine Star Lord and the ape were about the same level of strength. Even though he was slightly stronger, he would only be able to defeat him. Killing him would be extremely difficult. Just as the four of them were about to enter the Jingtan temple, the godly ape let out a miserable shriek and flew back at an even faster speed. Huh! The divine Star Lord's expression hardened. He turned around and looked ahead with a grave expression. A terrifying godly might spread out as a figure stepped forward. The river water parted to make way for him. The golden crow robe, the crack between his eyebrows, his hands behind his back, the heavenly book of justice floating beside him. As he took a step forward, his divine might was like a prison, suppressing the four humans and one ape. It was as if a divine mountain was pressing down on them. The two fairies quickly took out their treasures and activated the power of their immortal artifacts to protect themselves. Jiang Changkong's body was slightly bent, as if he was under great pressure. The two-star venerates showed grave expressions. Their immortal energy circulated continuously, and their fiendish chi surged. However, they found it hard to block the vast pressure. Since when did I have a clone? And when did Mount Huagua have a divine ape like you? Every step of the approaching figure was like stepping on their hearts. Under the terrifying pressure, the two fairies seemed to be able to hear their own heartbeats. Demon Emperor. This was the true Demon Emperor. It was so powerful that even a heavenly high immortal would find it hard to withstand it. Demon Emperor. The divine Star Lord's expression was grave. How could this Demon Emperor really appear? Why did he come here? Could it be that the news had been leaked? No, not many people knew about this. The two fairies definitely wouldn't tell anyone. He had also brought Jiang Changkong here. Even if the news had been leaked, the Demon Emperor wouldn't have been able to rush over from the Proud Sea Nation so quickly. Unless the Demon King was waiting for them in the Sky River Celestial Kingdom. But is this possible? Since when did Celestial Lord Sun Yuan fall from the peak to the early stage? The Demon King Jiang Changkong stopped his tracks and stared at the godly ape. There was also a burn mark on the divine ape's body. Apparently, it had been injured by the divine fire of the sun. Demon Sovereign, why is your main body here? The monkey hurriedly put on a smile. You are a doppelganger? Jiang Changkong sneered. That's right, Demon Sovereign. We agreed that we would send our clones over. Are you worried? The Demon Sovereign is wise. The Celestial Court is indeed not a good thing. The monkey hurriedly said, then disperse this clone. I alone am enough. Jiang Changkong laughed coldly. Kill yourself. Monkey, if it was a clone, I would have already dispersed and wouldn't have run. Demon Sovereign, with old ape's help, you will definitely be able to take down the Heavenly Court Star-Lord. The monkey hurriedly said, do I need a fake like you? Jiang Changkong snorted coldly and slapped the ape with his palm. Killing in vain. The divine ape of the mountain of flowers and fruits would never do such a thing. The ape's expression changed. He was unable to dodge and could only take it head-on. At the same time, he shouted, Divine Star-Lord, the demonic sovereign has gone mad. I will help you take down the demonic sovereign. All right. The divine Star-Lord did not hesitate. His eyes shone with divine light, and his divine sword slashed with divine light. The immortal monarch's every action was like the Lord of Laws. The divine radiance was like a divine sword that could split the heavens and earth. The sword intent that could destroy everything was enough to split the mountains and rivers of the immortal world and destroy the endless mortal universe. The metal cudgel of the ape smashed down and demonic chi surged. It was as if many small worlds were formed and destroyed, repeating the cycle. As he moved his palms, his primal chaos divine power and sun divine power were unleashed to the extreme. The chaos star appeared behind him, looking like a chaotic universe. Boom! As his palms landed, the metal cudgel shook. Rings of divine power spread into the surroundings like heavenly dragons. The heavenly river surged, and the immortal chi scattered. The entire river was shaking. His secondary body brought the two fairies into the temple and hid. Immortal blood and demonic blood splattered on the heavenly river, turning the clear water dirty. The ape fell, his metal cudgel flying. His sword fell, and his bones broke. The divine eye light shone, and the golden crow robe fluttered. Gray light and golden light shone brilliantly, shattering the divine eye light. Jiang Changkong took a step forward, and his palms were like a curtain of the sky. It was as if the sky had collapsed. Endless gray light and golden light intertwined in his palms. The primal chaos law and the sun law formed the primal chaos law of the golden crow. The golden crow that stepped out of the primal chaos was a primal chaos demon god from ancient times. Although it was weak now, it was not something these immortal lords could compare to. Rumble. The heavenly curtain palm landed. The divine eye light, the ape fist, and the overwhelming immortal chi and demonic chi reached their limits at this critical moment. Boom! The heavenly river shook, and divine might surged through the entire heavenly river. When the palm force landed, a vacuum appeared in the surroundings. Immortal blood and demonic blood dyed the river bottom, and two huge palm prints appeared. The divine eye star venerate and the ape were both lying in the palm prints, their flesh mangled. Their tenacious life auras were still struggling for their last bit of life. Jiang Changkong waved his hand, and the divine sword and metal cudgel tore through the air, piercing through their bodies and nailing them to the river bottom. Chaotic divine power poured into their bodies, and he started searching their souls. Miserable screams rang out. The souls of the two immortal lords dissipated, and their vitality vanished. Jiang Changkong's expression changed slightly. These two immortal lords had restrictions in their bodies, and they died right after he searched their souls. Xiao Chun looked at the pure altar temple. The earlier battle did not cause any damage to the temple. His secondary body and the two fairies hid in the temple, looking at him in fear. They wanted to hide, but the temple was empty except for a golden statue. Jiang Changkong stepped into the temple and looked at the golden statue. He had a fat head, big ears, a pig nose, a big belly, and golden armor. He held a 9-toothed rake in his hand. The two fairies hid in the corner, behind his secondary body. "Are you afraid of me?" Jiang Changkong said indifferently. "We're not afraid of you. If you dare to kill us, my father will definitely not let you off," Fairy Violet Orchid threatened fiercely. However, this threat was very weak and guilty. The demon sovereign in front of him did not give Heavenly King Ziwei any face at all. The secondary body stood up and said indifferently, "Judicial heavenly demons are not allowed to kill the innocent. We are all meritorious people. You cannot kill us." Jiang Changkong looked at the statue. Zhu Beiji is a member of the demon race. Zhu Beiji was the Heavenly Court's Marshal Tianpeng. "He is a member of the Heavenly Court," Yu Shui said. Jiang Changkong chuckled and looked around. There was nothing except the statue. He reached out and pressed his hand on the statue, but there was no reaction. Jiang Changkong frowned. Zhu Beiji would not leave an empty temple. If there was nothing, the Heavenly Court would not have gone through so much trouble to come here. "What do you think?" Jiang Changkong looked at the two fairies. "Aren't you a demon sovereign? You said that Zhu Beiji belongs to the demon race, and you, as a demon sovereign, can't do anything?" Fairy Violet Orchid said proudly. Chapter 556. Jiang Changkong smiled indifferently. "Or do you have no other way?" Fairy Xylan snorted and turned her head to the side. Fairy Yushue also shut her mouth. "I don't want to kill you, nor do I want to deal with you. If you have a way, say it." Jiang Changkong said indifferently, "I promise I won't attack you." The two fairies still did not speak, and the deputy also did not speak. "If you don't cooperate, I can only invite you to the monster race as guests." Jiang Changkong frowned slightly. "How can we believe what you say?" Fairy Yushua said. "I mean what I say," Jiang Changkong said indifferently. "I want you to swear in the name of the Monster Emperor." Fairy Yushua said solemnly. Jiang Changkong raised his right hand. Okay, I swear in the name of the Monster Emperor that if you can help me solve this, I will not make things difficult for you. The two fairies heaved a sigh of relief. In their opinion, the Monster Emperor was the supreme existence of the monster race. Even if the Monster Emperor had been dead for many years, he was still worthy of the monster race's respect, especially as the Golden Crow Monster Emperor. Once he swore in the name of the Monster Emperor, he would not go back on his word. Then what do you have? After making the oath, Jiang Changkong asked. The cleansed altar emissary is famous for his love of food. Perhaps we could try offering. Fairy Yushua waved her hand, and a table of delicacies appeared for the golden statue. The golden statue did not respond. Jiang Changkong frowned. Looks like it failed. I know. It should be a sincere offering. After all, this Zhu Beiji likes people calling him Canopy Marshal. Fairy Xylan said. Fairy Yushua stepped forward and bowed. Yushua greets Canopy Marshal. Fairy Xylan was disappointed. Still no reaction. Could it be that we guessed wrong and destroyed this place? Jiang Changkong frowned. Your battle just now did not damage this place at all. Fairy Yushua said. It should be that our method was wrong and did not trigger the restriction left by Zhu Beiji. Think about what other characteristics Zhu Beiji has. We must have overlooked something. Fairy Xylan thought. Characteristics of Zhu Beiji, other than Marshal Tian Peng, who was lazy and wanted to return to the heavens, there was only lecherous. Jiang Changkong looked at the two fairies. What are you doing? Fairy Violet Orchid took a step back. I can't do such a shameless thing. Fairy Yushua was also on guard. You said that you wouldn't make things difficult for us. You think too much. Jiang Changkong raised his hand, and his chaotic divine energy vibrated, turning into a bone-chilling cold air. Lunar vast cold? The two fairies were shocked at the same time. They didn't expect this demon emperor to have such a move. Buzz. With the appearance of the supreme, divine power, the golden statue shook violently and emitted a ray of golden light. However, it soon stabilized. It's effective. However, it's not enough with just your frigid power. Goddess Yushua's eyes lit up. With a wave of her hand, a jade toad appeared. Boundless Guanghan Qi descended, and a bone-chilling cold air filled the air. Rumble. The golden statue shook violently. Rings of golden light spread out, and the temple shook along with it. Walala! The sound of flowing water could be heard. The floor of the temple cracked open, revealing a passageway. What an infatuated pig! Jiang Changkong smiled and stepped into the passageway. An infatuated pig is better than a heartless person, Fairy Violet Orchid murmured. The heavenly court is cold and inhumane. Fairies, you can consider joining the demon court. Jiang Changkong smiled as he walked. Forget it. The heavenly court still has the heavenly god of justice. He's much better than those deities, Fairy Yushua said indifferently. Heavenly god of justice, you have this kind of charm? Jiang Changkong looked at the secondary body and said in surprise, I heard that you're impartial. When have you ever been humane? This is not the demon emperor's business, the secondary body said coldly. Fairy Violet Orchid snorted. You demon emperor, why are you asking so many questions? I'm just curious. Justice is heartless, and so is the heavenly Tao. By the time Jiang Changkong finished speaking, he had already arrived at the end of the passageway. It was a mansion, Canopy Marshal's mansion. The door opened. There were no defenses, restrictions, or immortal formations. Stepping into the mansion, most of the buildings inside had collapsed, leaving only 4 palaces. Full Moon Palace. Jiang Changkong looked at one of the palaces and found it funny. Canopy Marshal actually built a full moon palace in his own mansion. There are no longer such immortals in the celestial world. Fairy Yushua sighed and stepped into the palace. Even if he reincarnated into the wrong pig, his infatuation has always been preserved. After saying that, the jade toad released light, and the full moon palace opened automatically. The 2 fairies walked in first. A bone-chilling aura swept over from Jiang Changkong. There was only moon chi and silvery white ice inside. Apart from that, there was nothing else. Jiang Changkong was surrounded by sun divine fire. He was not afraid at all. The two fairies had moon divine items to protect them, so they were not afraid either. We can really see the moon star from here. That's the abandoned moon palace. Fairy Yushue looked up at the sky. The jade toad in her hand shone. We can see the moon palace from here. Jiang Changkong was shocked. He walked over and looked up at the sky. On a cold planet, silvery white ice was everywhere. A celestial palace stood on top of the planet. An immortal palace made of silvery white ice, the moon palace. He could really see it. Jiang Changkong was shocked. This full moon palace could actually see the moon star. Buzz. A beam of moonlight suddenly flew out from the moon palace and entered Fairy Yushue's glabella. A bone-chilling aura spread out from Yushue's body. The golden immortal power quickly dissipated. The silvery white ice around her turned into beams of moonlight and entered her body. A special wave of heaven power surged. Fairy Yushue's strength increased rapidly. In the blink of an eye, she went from late-stage Sky Immortal to peak Sky Immortal and was still growing. Jiang Changkong was slightly shocked. Did this mean that she had obtained the moon god's inheritance? This transformation lasted for 2 hours. Fairy Yushue's strength also stabilized. Peak Immortal. Yushue, what happened? Fairy Xylan asked in shock. I don't know either. I think I got an immortal position. Fairy Yushue was a little confused. Immortal position? Fairy Xylan said in surprise. You got an immortal position? That's great. You actually got an immortal position. An immortal position was too helpful. Look at Jiang Changkong, who had an immortal position. Even the Celestial Arch and Heavenly King Ziwei did not dare to kill him. She could get an immortal position just like that? Jiang Changkong was a little speechless. Did Zhu Beiji think that she was the most beautiful, so he gave her the position of Moon Immortal? This good-looking pig. Congratulations. Jiang Changkong still congratulated her. He did not have any ill feelings towards the two female immortals. The two female immortals had always wanted to help him, but he had rejected them. Let's go to the other palaces to take a look. Perhaps you can also obtain the inheritance. After saying that, Yushue looked at Jiang Changkong warily. Don't worry. I said that I would not make things difficult for you. After saying that, Jiang Changkong left the Full Moon Palace and looked at the remaining 3 palaces. They were Canopy Palace, Elder Supreme Palace, and Dragon King Palace. Which palace are we going to this time? You all have immortal positions. It must be my turn this time, Fairy Xylan said excitedly. Jiang Changkong did not say anything. He looked at the collapsed palaces, trying to find some familiar palaces in the ruins. Abruptly, a broken board with the characters written on it caught his attention. Magi Palace. Let's go to Dragon King Palace and see if there is an immortal position for the Dragon King. Bring it back for the Dragon King, the deputy said. Demon Emperor, are you so envious that you've become stupid? You're not even talking. Fairy Xylan looked at Dragon King Palace and then at Jiang Changkong. Then let's go to Dragon King Palace. The Dragon King has nothing to do with you. Look at how happy you are, Jiang Changkong said indifferently. Fairy Xylan ran to Dragon King Palace first. Chapter 557. Watching his secondary body and the 2 fairies enter the Dragon King Hall, Jiang Changkong walked to the ruins of the Magi Palace. Zhang Xin picked up the damaged signboard, and a surge of invisible energy burst forth from it. The sun divine fire in Jiang Changkong's body dimmed a little. Azure light shone in his body, and the sun divine fire burned fiercely again. Buzz. The void fluctuated. Jiang Changkong's vision blurred, and the scenery around him changed. Torrential blood chi stretched across the void like ancient divine dragons. Jiang Changkong stood in the center of the blood chi and looked at the blood chi dragons. A vast and boundless world appeared in front of him. The blood chi dragons shuttled in the void like the veins of heaven and earth, the blood of the heavenly Tao. A heavy pressure came, and a unique, ferocious aura was filled with tyranny and ferocity. It was as if the only thing left in this boundless world was this surging blood chi. All the laws and all the powers were suppressed by it. He couldn't feel time, space, or the existence of immortal chi. The immortal positions in his body were all isolated. This was a pure blood chi power. Unique power of laws traveled in the blood, and an ancient and desolate aura spread out from the blood chi. There seemed to be prayers in his ears, as if they were calling someone and offering sacrifices to an ancient existence. However, there was a layer of barrier that isolated these prayers, making it hard for him to hear them clearly. It was extremely uncomfortable. The blood chi divine dragon was roaring, and the vast world was shaking. A race that shouldn't exist in the world, a race that didn't respect the heavenly Tao and didn't cultivate the great Tao. It was born from the beginning of the world, and it bloomed with dazzling divine light in the primordial era. At the end of the primordial era, it declined with the demon race and almost disappeared in the primordial era. The blood chi dragons turned into the veins of heaven and earth. As the world shook, the blood chi dragons were the blood, and the earth under their feet was the body. Amidst the faintly discernible prayers, the world was revived. A pair of hands, a pair of legs, and a head appeared in the boundless world. The immeasurable divine body was unknown and immeasurable. The vast divine power made Jiang Changkong feel like he was carrying the world on his back, and he hunched his body. A figure that couldn't be looked up at, an ancient existence revived in prayers. He was a true big shot, a mighty figure that had existed since the beginning of time. Compared to him, immortal monarchs and immortal kings were nothing more than specks of light. The green light in his body flickered incessantly, as if trying to attract the attention of this ancient being. Unknowingly, when the surroundings became boundless primal chaos, the world disappeared, and the blood energy divine dragon disappeared. Everything turned into this ancient existence. The boundless divine body transformed once again. His legs turned into snake tails, and 7 arms appeared on his back. A pair of hands grew out of his chest, each holding a pair of flying serpents. Sparkling jade-like skin, shoulder-length hair, and a huge roulette floating behind her. The ancient and blurry divine runes on the wheel were indistinct, and they emanated waves of divine might. The ancient existence slowly opened his eyes, which emitted a deep glow, as if they contained boundless chaos. The azure light in Jiang Changkong's body pulsed violently, and the terrifying pressure lessened. He lifted his head and looked at the immeasurable divine body and that face that was as beautiful as the sky. They were the only ones who had received the acknowledgement of the heavens and obtained an immortal position. He was also the only one who had walked the same path as the ancient beings. One transformed into the immortal world and nurtured all living beings. The other transformed into the 6 paths and opened the underworld. Sage. Jiang Changkong's heart calmed down. In front of this existence, the chaotic divine power in his body seemed to be imprisoned. He could not mobilize any power, nor could he have any hostile thoughts. This existence had long become a sage, using his own body to make up for the heavenly Tao. The strange thing was that he did not feel a trace of the power of heaven. Even if this was only an incarnation, it should still possess the power of the heavens, since it had fused with its own body. The immeasurable divine body moved slightly, and the surrounding chaos surged. The chaotic air currents were like divine dragons, rushing wildly in all directions. A jade-like palm, like the sky, lifted him up and brought him before the face that was as beautiful as the sky. It was as big as the sky, suppressing the boundless chaos. The boundless power was already beyond the imagination of immortals. Without saying a word, the giant hand lifted Jiang Changkong and lowered his head slightly. Their foreheads touched, and a stream of information entered Jiang Changkong's body. The azure light in his body surged, and a stream of information appeared in Jiang Changkong's mind. Boom! A beam of light lit up in his mind, tearing apart the chaos and destroying everything. Earth, water, fire, wind, and all kinds of light appeared in the chaos. Endless chaotic storms and boundless chaotic air currents appeared in his mind. Another ray of light suppressed everything and destroyed the primordial chaos. The boundless chaos was no match for the mysterious light. A boundless divine body shot out mysterious lights with every move it made. The shattered chaos turned into many worlds like endless bubbles. A huge bubble was at the center, and countless small bubbles were attached to the big bubble. Time, space, earth, water, fire, wind, sun, moon. All kinds of mysterious power and billions of stars were separated from the chaos. Is this splitting open the sky? Jiang Changkong muttered to himself. However, this time, it was this existence who split open the sky, not Pangu. Buzz, the immeasurable divine body, dissipated, and the wheel disappeared. Replacing it was a huge star, emitting a strong, cold aura. Moonstar. The laurel tree emitted specks of moonlight. The fairy in a white dress had a veil over her face, and her face could not be seen. A fat middle-aged man stood under the laurel tree and looked at the fairy in a white dress with a complicated expression. Canopy Marshal, the witch race can stay in your Tao field. The fairy in a white dress said coldly. Moon Goddess, it's better for you to stay in the underworld. Your Moon Goddess position can stay in my Tao field. I welcome you. Canopy Marshal said with an ugly expression. The Moon Goddess tone was still cold. Since you are unwilling, I will go find the heavenly God of justice. Why do you want to find that three-eyed man? Who said I am unwilling? Canopy Marshal hurriedly said. Jiang Changkong sighed. Zhu Beiji was willing to be a spare tire for billions of years. What was so good about women? The great Tao was the only one. The fairy in a white dress handed a palace to Canopy Marshal. Canopy Marshal took the palace and said in a low voice, You don't have to go. They're all gone. I'll stay and feel even more lonely? The fairy in a white dress held up a cluster of moonlight with her jade-like fingers. I will return. You won't. The Canopy Marshal took the palace and turned to leave. His back was bleak and lonely. If you can't return, then so be it. The fairy in a white dress's fingers had already pierced into the laurel tree because she used too much force. Where did the ancient celestial gods go? Jiang Changkong frowned. From the looks of it, they all went and couldn't return. The fairy in a white dress, the Moon Goddess, suddenly turned around and stared at Jiang Changkong. Jiang Changkong's eyebrows twitched. Could it be that she still had her own consciousness? There's a piece of heaven hidden in the underworld. If the heavenly Tao awakens in the future, there's no way out. Enter the underworld and use your body to mend the heaven, becoming the lord of the underworld. After saying this, the fairy in a white dress's figure faded and disappeared. There's a piece of heaven hidden in the underworld? Jiang Changkong was shocked. Just how unlucky was the heaven? How many pieces had it been cut into? Should he make a trip to the underworld? Or should he leave that piece of heaven for the underworld? Chapter 558. What exactly did these ancient immortals do for them to be able to retain their positions? Back then, the ancient heavenly court ruled the immortal world and swept away almost all obstacles. They were the supreme overlords here, but they still had to leave and even use the mortal world as an experimental ground. The immortal world also had their research grounds, which created many ancient species and retained the power of the ancestral dragon. Demon King, what are you doing? A questioning voice came and woke him up. Jiang Changkong looked at the damaged plaque in his hand. This place was still in ruins. He threw it away and said indifferently, Dragon King Palace, did you find anything? Nothing. Fairy Xylan looked curiously at the plaque he threw away. But the Demon King actually stood here for an hour. Since I didn't find anything, let's go to the next palace. Jiang Changkong said indifferently and did not explain the harvest of the Magi Palace. Fairy Xylan and the other two found the Dragon King position, but they did not dare to say it, worried that he would snatch it. The secondary body already knew this and did not point it out. The Dragon King position would eventually be handed over to the Little Dragon King. Jiang Changkong did not care about this now. He was concerned about the information in his mind. The secret art left behind by the witch race, sky-splitting 5 styles. This secret art was deduced by the witch race and not inherited from Pangu, but its power was enough to split the world. With Jiang Chankong's current strength, he estimated that the most basic style would not be able to exert its power, but it could still give him a strong boost. In particular, the most crucial point of the sky-splitting 5 styles was the help of the green light in his body. So many pills. The door of the Old Lord Palace opened and a rich fragrance came out. Bottles of pills were placed inside, all labeled with the name of the pill. Soul Returning Pill, Resurrection. Tao, Comprehension Pill, Enlightenment of the Great Tao. Golden Pill, 5 Revolutions, Becoming an Immortal in 1 Step. All kinds of pills appeared in front of the 3 of them. These were pills personally refined by the top alchemist of the heavenly court, the Old Lord. After so many years, they were still well preserved. The 2 fairies quickly collected the pills as if they had never seen them before. Jiang Chankong and his second body also quickly took action. There were fewer golden cores here, but there were more Tao comprehension pills and healing pills. However, they were all 5th grade and below. There wasn't even a single bottle of 6th grade. After collecting the pills, the 2 fairies looked at him vigilantly again. There doesn't seem to be an immortal position here. Jiang Chankong ignored their vigilant gazes and wandered around the palace. Old Lord Taishang was a terrifying existence back then, so it was normal that he did not leave behind an immortal position. How many ordinary immortals could take on the position of a Grand Supreme Elder? The 3 of them left the Supreme Lord Hall and entered the Canopy Hall. There should be a Canopy Martial immortal position, right? Fairy Violet Orchid said expectantly. It might be the immortal position of Emissary of the Cleansed Altar. Jiang Chankong said lightly. Fairy Xylan had a look of disgust on her face. You are the Emissary of the Cleansed Altar. The Emissary of the Cleansed Altar was a position where one could eat and drink and enjoy the food and drink. Canopy Martial controlled the Heavenly River Navy and was in existence with real power. Easily pushing open the doors of the Canopy Palace, the 3 of them walked in. Similarly, there was only a golden statue inside. The Jade Toad rose again, but this time it was useless. The Moon God's face was clearly used up. Jiang Chankong reached out to touch the golden statue and frowned. A rebounding force came and made him take 2 steps back. It seems that Canopy Martial does not like the monster race. Fairy Violet Orchid said with a smile. Yes, he likes beautiful fairies. Jiang Chankong smiled indifferently and was not angry. Now that you don't have an immortal position, you can give it a try. I'll give it a try. Fairy Violet Orchid snorted lightly and pressed her palm on the golden statue. Wong. The golden statue trembled and a golden halo spread. Look, this fairy still has to do it. Fairy Violet Orchid raised her head proudly. Fairy Yushiwa had a smile on her face, but she kept a straight face. Jiang Chankong could only sigh again, this lecherous pig head. Wong. The golden statue suddenly raised its hand and pointed at the back of Fairy Violet Orchid's head. Fairy Jade Snow's expression changed greatly. Violet Orchid. Fairy Violet Orchid's vision went black, and she directly fell down. Her secondary body hurried forward and helped Fairy Violet Orchid. Jiang Chankong's expression changed slightly. He seemed to see a wisp of purple light. The information on the heavenly book stunned him. If Heavenly King Ziwei knew, would he kill his daughter? Rumble. The golden statue trembled again, and the golden halo spread. The golden statue opened its mouth, and a suction force came, directly swallowing them all. Jiang Chankong's vision went black. The next moment, light shone through the darkness, and he was already in the City Lord's mansion. We will meet again if fate allows it. Jiang Chankong turned into a golden crow and disappeared. This monster emperor really did not make things difficult for us, nor did he steal our harvest. Fairy Jade Snow was slightly surprised. I will send you to the Heaven Passage. You can go back directly, Jiang Chankong said indifferently. What about you? Fairy Jade Snow frowned slightly. Jiang Chankong said calmly. I will enforce the law in the lower realm. As that monster emperor said, we will meet again if fate allows it. Fairy Jade Snow was silent for a moment and took out a few bottles of medicinal pills. These are the medicinal pills we just obtained. Take them. No need, Jiang Chongkong said indifferently. If you don't want them, then throw them away. I will bring Violet Orchid back myself. Jade Snow left with Fairy Violet Orchid, throwing the medicinal pills casually. Jiang Chongkong frowned and put away the medicinal pills. Take it as the fair to send you away. Fairy Jade Snow smiled and left with him. If there is no place to go, you can go back to the East Sea. That is not heaven. All right, take this jade pendant of mine. Some immortal kings will not attack you. Keep it for yourself. I will not take it even if you throw it away this time, Jiang Chongkong said indifferently. All right, you are really cold. Fairy Jade Snow was a little dissatisfied. You can be friends with Little Dragon King. Why can't you be friend with us? I enforce the law on behalf of the heavens, not for the heavenly court. Perhaps one day, you and I will stand on the opposite side, Jiang Chongkong said indifferently. Fairy Yushua fell silent. She supported Fairy Violet Orchid and flew away. Jiang Chongkong followed by her side and escorted them back to heaven. In front of the heavenly passage, Fairy Jade Snow suddenly looked up. There will not be such a day. After the heavenly court is on the right track, the celestial emperor will build a peaceful and warm, immortal world. Jiang Chongkong turned and left, sneering in his heart. A peaceful and warm, immortal world? Is this a lie? His figure disappeared and went to the mountains thousands of miles away. Jiang Chongkong's main body was also there. He was studying his changes. Because of the Magi Palace's inheritance of the 5 styles of splitting the heavens, Jiang Chongkong's acquired chaotic Taoist body had reached the limit of an immortal. Jiang Chongkong, peak immortal, true God. 4th revolution mystic art. Perfect, 1/2. 7 million acquired chaotic Taoist body. Perfect, 2. 7 million/2. 7 million golden crow immortal scripture. Perfect, 337500/33750 essence. Chi, spirit, 660462 soon. He will be able to reach the immortal lord level. Next, my secondary body will return to the Demon King Palace to hold the fort. My main body will enforce the law in the lower realm and use the identity of the heavenly god of justice. I can also use my full strength. Jiang Chongkong pondered and began to create a new secondary body. The demon race would not make any big moves now. The heavenly court released him, which was also a chance for him to return openly. The heavenly god of justice would once again become famous in the immortal world. Chapter 559. Jiang Chongkong sorted out the 5 forms of split the heavens in his mind. There were no specific names, only 5 moves. After 5 moves, heaven and earth were split apart, and a world was formed. The stronger one was, the more terrifying the power they could unleash. If he could prove his Tao and become a sage, he would be able to create a new world in the boundless chaos just like that powerful being. After that, it was the harvest this time. There were 20 bottles of golden elixirs that could help him improve his cultivation. 5 bottles of 5th grade golden elixirs were all top-notch. 15 bottles of peak rank. 4 pills, 10 pills per bottle. 286000. After consuming a 5th revolution recovery pill, the chaotic divine energy in his body rapidly recovered. In less than a quarter of an hour, all of his divine power had been restored, and his secondary incarnation had already left. As expected of the pill refined by the Grand Supreme Elder. This kind of pill has to be used sparingly. Jiang Chongkong felt the medicinal energy in his body and found that he still had more than half of it left. The pills that the old lord had left behind were all top-notch. Grade 5 recovery pills could even allow a heavenly high immortal to recover completely. Although his current battle prowess was powerful, it was only equivalent to a mid-stage high celestial. It was far from being comparable to a peak high celestial. Next, it's time to enforce the law. Jiang Chongkong held the Almanac of Justice in his hand and revealed a look of anticipation. Jiang Chongkong suddenly raised his head, a trace of doubt appearing on his face. An aura that was not weak fluctuated nearby, as if it was searching for something. After some thought, Jiang Changkong decided to ignore him and leave. Stop right there. A cold shout was heard. Golden light flashed, and a figure instantly rushed up to the sky, blocking the way. What's the matter? Jiang Changkong asked calmly. This was a young man who was very strong. He exuded the aura of a monarch from head to toe. He was no weaker than the divine Star Lord. Early stage, immortal monarch. The young immortal monarch asked coldly, Heavenly Book, are you the heavenly god of justice from the heavenly court? Jiang Changkong frowned slightly. Yes, I am. What can I do for you? Lend me your head for a moment. The young immortal lord snorted coldly as the aura of an immortal lord gushed out. He used his full strength right from the start. The aura of a monarch, the laws of the immortal Tao, the might of a supreme immortal god. On the divine sword, the aura of the laws circulated. It was like a golden heavenly river, vast and mighty, suppressing over. The boundless Milky Way, the boundless rule, sword chi. You can't kill me. Jiang Changkong snorted coldly. He opened the heavenly book, and the information on it appeared. A sinner was an immortal lord, and it was a capital crime. 50,000 heavens power. The primal chaos, stars manifested behind him like boundless primal chaos. The law of primal chaos shuttled through the primal chaos, and all kinds of characteristics manifested. Jiang Changkong gently raised his right palm, and a special aura was brewing in his palm. A mysterious light rose from the boundless chaos behind him, split the heavens. The azure light in his body surged into his palm. Combined with the primal chaos law, he executed the heaven-splitting technique. That palm strike carried the might of Genesis. Even though it was not even a billionth of its might, it was still not something that a heavenly high immortal could withstand. Crack! The green palm force landed, and the divine sword shattered inch by inch. The young immortal lord had a horrified expression. He wanted to howl, but he couldn't make a single sound. He saw the primal chaos. He saw a giant lifting his palm to tear the primal chaos apart. The primal chaos was torn apart, and a mysterious power shattered his divine sword, shattered his law, and shattered his heart. His neck tightened, and a mysterious hand grabbed his neck. A voice rang out like primal chaos divine lightning. Who told you to come? You. How can you be so strong? The young immortal lord said in horror. Answer me. Jiang Changkong said coldly. He exerted some force, and the intense pain made the young immortal lord finally understand the current situation. The young immortal lord hurriedly said, It's the heavenly court. No, it's the sky river immortal monarch. Speak clearly. Jiang Changkong frowned. The sky river immortal monarch said that you have already been abandoned by the heavenly court. If I can kill you, I can become the new heavenly god of justice and obtain the favor of the heavenly Tao. Bulsh asterisk T. I am the heavenly god of justice. If you kill me, you will only bear the burden of sin. Jiang Changkong's expression was cold. This is what the Sky River Immortal Monarch said. The heavenly Tao has not fully awakened yet, so it can be changed. Also, the young immortal lord explained in horror, but he did not dare to continue. What else? Jiang Changkong's expression was cold. Also, the heavenly god of justice has consumed many immortal emperor-level immortal pills and was once rewarded by the heavenly Arch. His body is filled with immortal pills' medicinal power. If I can eat the heavenly god of justice, my strength will definitely improve greatly. The young immortal lord's voice was so weak that it was almost inaudible. Immortal emperor-level immortal pills? And many? When did the heavenly Arch become so generous to give me such good things? Why does this sound so much like Tripitaka? How did you know I was here? Jiang Changkong asked coldly. The heavenly court leaked the news, saying that the heavenly god of justice has come to Pure River City and is near this mountain range. Was the massacre in Pure River City done by the heavenly court? It was done by the heavenly court and the Sky River Immortal Monarch. When the heavenly Tao awakens, the Sky River Immortal Monarch will ascend to the heavenly court and become the Sky River Heavenly Monarch or even the Canopy Marshal. The young Immortal Lord said everything he knew. Canopy Marshal? Sky River Immortal Monarch? The heavenly court had already planned to kill him in the lower realm. The heavenly the Arch and the others could not do it, so they could only ask someone to do it for them. Perhaps they did not want to kill him, but to subdue him. As long as he was willing to be obedient, he would be able to ascend to the heavens and continue to be the heavenly court's heavenly god of justice. Sigh. Jiang Changkong sighed softly, and his chaotic divine power entered the young immortal lord's body. Thank you for coming to deliver your head. The death penalty was 50,000 essence chi spirit, and his body contained 1,100 essence chi spirit. He was surprised that his soul did not explode after using his chaotic divine power to search his soul. He had asked for so long because he was worried that he would not be able to search his soul. Immortal Lord's Collection. Jiang Changkong looked at the disappearing young immortal lord, and a ring appeared in his hand. There were many immortal stones and immortal pills inside. The quality of the immortal pills was slightly worse. There were only 2 bottles of 4th grade golden pills, and they were of superior quality. There was not a single bottle of 5th grade golden pills. Thinking about it, the young immortal lord was only an early stage immortal lord. There were only 100 top grade 4th grade immortal stones and 2 low grade 5th grade immortal stones. There's another 4th grade immortal stone vein. A piece of information appeared in Jiang Changkong's mind. There was a 4th grade immortal stone vein in the city guarded by the immortal lord. The city was not far from there. If he flew at full speed, he would only need an hour to reach it. I'll take the immortal stone vein before the heavenly river immortal king can react. Jiang Changkong turned into a beam of light and headed for the city guarded by the immortal lord. 1,000 miles away from Eastwater City, in the boundless mountain range, there was a huge mountain with a mine. Martial immortals and human immortals were entering and exiting the mine, transporting immortal stones out. The Heavenly River Immortal Kingdom is truly a large country. There are actually 5 immortals overseeing this place. Jiang Changkong hid in the sky and looked at the situation below. There were 5 immortals overseeing the mine. Just as Jiang Changkong was about to take action, 2 figures caught his attention. 2 late-stage immortals. Neither of them were weak. Merely, they had restrictions placed on them. 2 immortals here to mine? Isn't this a bit too extravagant? Jiang Changkong was astonished. Even in the heavenly court, immortals were generals. In a monstrous race, they were monstrous kings. Chapter 560. For the Sky River Immortal Kingdom to send immortals to mine, this was simply overkill. Unless these 2 were not immortals of the Sky River Divine Kingdom. The heavenly book was opened and the information appeared. Jiang Ziyu, late divine immortal, immortal of the great wilderness celestial kingdom. His merits outweigh his faults. Jiang Zifan was a late divine immortal of the great wilderness celestial kingdom. From the great wilderness celestial kingdom, that's quite a distance. Jiang Changkong had a strange look on his face. Under normal circumstances, it would take at least a few months for an immortal to travel from the great wilderness to the Sky River Immortal Kingdom. If something unexpected were to happen, such as encountering a demon king or an evil demon, it would be hard to say if they could even make it. The Sky River Celestial Kingdom and the Great Wilderness Celestial Kingdom didn't seem to be at war, right? The special divine whip lashed on his body, causing his skin to split open. A pained expression appeared on Jiang Ziyu's face as he let out a muffled groan and hurriedly carried the celestial stone on his back. You 2, hurry up. One of the celestial immortals said coldly, if you dare slack off again, this immortal will beat you to death. Don't let me recover my cultivation, or I'll kill you. Jiang Ziyu gritted his teeth, but he only dared to mutter. Unfortunately, his strength was sealed, so he couldn't hide his words from the heaven immortal supervisor. Crackle! The divine whip lashed down again, leaving a bone-deep whip mark. Golden blood gushed out. If you dare speak any more nonsense, I will smash your mouth. The heaven immortal supervisor sneered and said disdainfully. Restore your cultivation base? Since you're here, don't even think about it. Even if I kill you, no one will know how you died. Ziyu, work hard. Jiang Zifen held down Jiang Ziyu and shook his head slightly. With their strength sealed, not to mention a heavenly immortal, even a martial immortal would be able to beat them up. Jiang Ziyu could only swallow the anger in his heart and endure it. At least you know your place. The heaven immortal supervisor harumphed coldly. He turned around and was about to leave when a figure suddenly blocked his way. Who are you? The heaven immortal supervisor had never seen this unfamiliar face before. I enforce justice when I see injustice, Jiang Changkong said indifferently. He opened the heavenly book of justice and said, I am the heavenly god of justice. Heavenly god of justice. The celestial immortal supervisor's face changed dramatically as he hurriedly retreated. Why are you here? The heavenly court's heavenly god of justice is here. Hurry up and contact the immortal monarch. Screams of horror could be heard. Everyone, including some of the workers, looked over in horror. Heavenly court, heavenly god of justice? Jiang Ziyu and Jiang Zifen were both shocked. The heaven god of justice directly manifested in his heart. The heavenly god of justice had returned, and the heavenly Tao announced to the world. It was just that they had never seen him before. They didn't expect to see him here. Heavenly god of justice, what brings you here? An immortal hurried over and looked at him solemnly. I will enforce the law on behalf of the heavens. Wherever you need me, I will be there. Jiang Changkong said calmly. The Milky Way celestial kingdom has always been loyal to the heavenly court. Heavenly god of justice, you are not needed here, the deity said solemnly. You should be a celestial immortal, Jiang Changkong said calmly. He opened his celestial eye, and his celestial immortal cultivation level dropped rapidly. Do it. The other four immortals quickly made their moves. Countless mysterious patterns appeared in the void, releasing dazzling sword beams. The laws of the immortal Tao bloomed, and the four deities activated the immortal formation, raising its power to the limit of deities. All of you are guilty of the death penalty. Jiang Changkong pointed with a finger. The divine light shattered, the void trembled, and the mysterious immortal formation instantly collapsed. The four immortals paused and turned into ashes, dissipating from the world. Run! A scream rang out, and both the foreman and the miners ran for their lives. None of the guilty can escape. Jiang Changkong pointed with a finger, and his chaotic divine power split into tens of thousands, harvesting the sinful supervisors and miners. The two immortals of the great wilderness froze on the spot. The chaotic divine power entered their bodies, breaking the restriction and restoring their cultivation level. Thank you, heavenly god of justice. The two immortals bowed in gratitude. No need to be so polite. The two of you have done more good than bad, Jiang Changkong said calmly. His celestial eye scanned the remaining miners. Most of them were low-level immortals with no merits or faults. They did not do anything wrong. They were just unlucky to be captured by the Sky River Celestial Kingdom to mine. Jiang Changkong poured his chaotic divine power into the mine. There were still some miners inside, and they all flew out. Those who have nothing to do can leave. I will not make things difficult for those who are innocent. Jiang Changkong waved his hand and let the miners leave. As for the supervisors, almost none of them were innocent. There were many miners who died in their hands. The chaos divine power searched the mine, entering the vein, controlling the mine, and taking out the ores one by one. Thank you, heavenly god of justice. The miners bowed respectfully and turned to leave. Jiang Changkong looked at the two immortals. Don't go yet. Heavenly god of justice, do you have any other orders? The two immortals looked at each other and asked cautiously. Although they had recovered their cultivation level, they did not dare to act recklessly in the face of Jiang Changkong's divine power that killed four immortals with a finger and broke the immortal formation. Jiang Changkong smiled lightly. Don't be nervous. I'm just curious. How did you two immortals of the great wilderness end up as miners of the heavenly river? The two immortals' expressions changed. How do you know we are from the great wilderness? Jiang Changkong waved the heavenly book in his hand. Don't forget who I am. Well, the two immortals looked at each other and hesitated. Jiang Changkong was not in a hurry. The rest of the miners had already left. Immortal stones flew out of the mine. He also put away the ores that they had dug out earlier. Time passed bit by bit. Soon, half an hour had passed. Jiang Zifan said, "Heavenly God of Justice, we should leave quickly. The immortal lord guarding this place will be back soon. I have already executed that immortal lord. Don't worry." Jiang Changkong waved his hand. "Heavenly God of Justice can kill immortal lords?" The two immortals were shocked. "Since you are not willing to tell me the reason, then forget it. Leave quickly." Jiang Changkong waved his hand. No, we want to ask Heavenly God of Justice to send us back to the great wilderness." The two immortals looked at each other. Jiang Zifan continued, "We are willing to tell you the reason and offer the information to Heavenly God of Justice. Forget about the escort. I am very busy and have a lot of troubles." Jiang Changkong waved his hand. The two immortals thought that Jiang Changkong still wanted to enforce the law. They hurriedly said, "I heard that Heavenly God of Justice is on good terms with the Dragon King of the East Sea. This matter is related to the ancient Dragon Clan." "Huh?" Jiang Changkong's eyes narrowed. "What matter?" "Yazi Dao ground," Jiang Zifan said in a deep voice. "We were searching for the Yazi Dao ground. We encountered evil demons and were severely injured. We came to the Sky River Celestial Kingdom and ended up here. If you tell me the location of the Yazi Dao ground, I will send one of my clones to escort you back," Jiang Changkong said. "Well, Heavenly God of Justice, it is not that we do not believe in your strength, but the journey is long and dangerous. I am afraid it will be difficult for your clone to send us back. Moreover, we have studied the Yazi Dao ground for many years and have some understanding of it. It can help heavenly gods obtain treasures." Jiang Zifan hurriedly said, "You don't want to give up on the treasures, right? However, I'm not someone who will take all the treasures for myself. It is just that I am in big trouble now. If I bring you with me, your lives may be in danger." Jiang Changkong did not hide anything. The heavenly court was clearly trying to kill them with a borrowed knife, and the Sky River Celestial Monarch had agreed. If the Sky River Celestial Monarch came looking for him, he would probably be in trouble. "We are willing to be with the heavenly God. We do not fear danger." Jiang Changkong. Chapter 561. Jiang Changkong couldn't persuade him anymore. He had already told him many times that it would be dangerous to follow him. However, the two of them did not believe it at all. Perhaps they did not want to give up on the Yazi Dojo. Jiang Ziyu and Jiang Zifan didn't believe that Jiang Changkong would be in trouble. Although he didn't know the specifics of the Heavenly God of Justice, he had witnessed his powerful combat prowess. He killed 4 immortals with one finger and broke the immortal formation. Before coming here, he had even killed an elementary high immortal. Coupled with the fact that he had the backing of the heavenly court, he could totally do whatever he wanted. One immortal stone after another flew out. As Jiang Changkong channeled his chaos god force, a large number of immortal stones flew out. An hour passed, and Jiang Changkong had plundered quite a number of immortal stones. However, the mountain inside was extremely hard. Even with his chaos divine power, he had to expend some effort. He stopped plundering the immortal stones and wrapped them in his chaos divine power before taking them away. He couldn't wait any longer. He could only leave after one wave in case the experts of the Milky Way Immortal Kingdom came. Jiang Zifan pointed the way, and Jiang Changkong turned into a beam of light and left. On the way, Jiang Changkong didn't forget to count the immortal stones he obtained. Peak rank, for only cost 100 yuan, high class 500 yuan, mid class 800 yuan, and low class 1,300 yuan. Peak rank, 3 cost 2,000 yuan, high class 4,000 yuan, and middle class 8,000 yuan. There were no low-grade ones, but there were still some rank 2 ones. Jiang Changkong tossed them into his space equipment without checking. Essence, Qi, and Spirit. 840,000. Jiang Changkong glanced at his essence, Qi, and Spirit. In another 2 days, he would have almost 2 million. He hoped that this trip to the Yazi Dao ground would be fruitful, or he could find another grade 4 spirit vein. Unfortunately, 4th grade mineral veins could not be found anywhere. In the Sky River Immortal Kingdom, even a grade 4 spirit vein required an immortal lord to guard it. This showed how rare it was. The higher the grade of the mine, the rarer it was. They had basically all been plundered by the Heavenly Court and the 2 great immortal sects. A small nation like the Proud Sea Nation didn't even have a 3rd grade mine. In order to avoid trouble, Jiang Changkong directly suppressed the immortal book and immortal occupation in his body. Half a day later, they were already far away from the mineral vein. Jiang Zifen said solemnly, "God, there's a golden river town up ahead. Be careful when you pass by." "Oh, what's so special about Goldwater Town?" Jiang Changkong asked. "There's nothing special about the Golden Water Town. The main thing is that there's an evil devil entrenched in the Golden Water River. Not only will he eat the townsfolk, but he'll also eat the immortals who pass by." Jiang Zifen said in a deep voice. "Back then, we always took a detour." Jiang Changkong paused for a moment. "How strong is that demon? I heard that he's an immortal monarch, but I'm not sure what his cultivation level is." Jiang Zifen shook his head. Jiang Changkong pondered for a moment. "How far away is the Yazi Dojo? If we take a detour, it will take us 1 or 2 more days, about 5 days," the 2 of them said. "This god will protect you. Fly over carefully. There shouldn't be any problems." Jiang Changkong thought about it and decided not to give way. If he protected them and concealed his aura, the immortal lord should not be able to discover him. The 2 of them looked at each other and didn't have any objections. Chaos divine power enveloped the 2 of them. This time, Jiang Changkong didn't transform into light. Instead, he transformed into a white cloud and moved forward quickly. The Golden Water River glowed with golden light, as if there were some treasures hidden in it. At first, some mortals really found some treasures in it. Therefore, the Golden Water Town had produced some immortals. Ever since the evil devils came and occupied the Golden Water River, the townsfolk of the Golden Water Town were also bullied. They thought of resisting, but were restricted. They could only walk around in the Golden Water Town and couldn't leave. Listening to the 2 of them talk about the Golden Water Town, Jiang Changkong frowned. The Sky River Celestial Kingdom doesn't care about this? It's just a small town. Why would the Sky River Celestial Kingdom care about it? Jiang Zifen shook his head. Even in the great wilderness Celestial Kingdom, there are many evil devils wreaking havoc. Is it like this in the celestial world? Jiang Changkong asked. You can't say that. The disciples of the Zhen Yuan celestial sect often subdue evil. The evil devils don't dare to approach the Zhen Yuan celestial sect. A look of longing appeared on Jiang Zifen's face. Many immortals, myself included, wish to join the Zhen Yuan celestial sect for the rest of my life. What about Penglai? Jiang Changkong raised his brow. They are not weaker than the Zhen Yuan celestial sect either. The Penglai sect would not provoke you if you don't provoke them. They only cultivate themselves, and they don't care about slaying evil or whatever. Jiang Ziyu added. They would retaliate viciously if they were provoked. Jiang Changkong nodded. He was about to speak when his expression stiffened, and the white cloud paused. Whoosh! A streak of black evil light shot up, passing right in front of Jiang Changkong. If he had gone a little further, the evil light would have hit him. Was I discovered? Jiang Changkong frowned. Streaks of evil light suddenly shot up from below, densely packed like rain. With a point of his finger, chaos divine power split into chaos water droplets that rained down like rain. As the chaos rain fell, the evil light crumbled like streaks of rainbows. Boom, boom! A black barrier materialized in the skies below, blocking the chaos rain. This barrier must be the limit of novice level. Jiang Changkong frowned slightly. Let's leave for now. I'll come back from the Yazi Amanda to clean up this evil spirit. Bringing the 2 with him, he dashed forward, intending to charge out of the Golden Water River. The skies around them abruptly split apart, devouring the trio. Jiang Changkong furrowed his brows and retreated. The space behind him also cracked open. This is the aura of spatial law. Jiang Changkong mused to himself and flicked his finger, and the spatial rift rapidly vanished. However, even as the spatial rift vanished, more spatial rifts appeared around it. That's all you've got? I'd like to see what the hell you are. Jiang Changkong snorted coldly and promptly led the two into the spatial rift. Space shifted, and the trio arrived inside a house, where the sounds of children playing could be heard from outside. Is this Golden Water Town? Jiang Changkong looked out the window. There was a stone tablet outside with the words Golden Water Town engraved on it. Heavenly God, why are we here? The two stood behind him and asked worriedly. Jiang Changkong said indifferently, It's fine. Let's go out and take a look first. I underestimated this evil spirit. It actually cultivates spatial law. Spatial law had already become a legend in the mortal world, and he had never seen it before. After being in the immortal world for so long, he did not expect to see it from an evil spirit. We have a guest. An old voice rang out, and an old woman with a stooped back walked into the room shakily. Old lady, please forgive me for entering this place by mistake. Jiang Changkong smiled faintly, and the heavenly book in his body was already activated. The heavenly book was even more powerful than the Sun Wukong's eyes of fire and gold. As long as there was no mighty being to isolate it, it could reveal human, ghost, demon, or demon. The information on it stunned him. Golden Water Granny, an ordinary mortal, an old person from Golden Water Town, no merits or faults. He thought that the evil spirit would react to his arrival, or at least send a small demon. Unexpectedly, it was an ordinary mortal from Golden Water Town who came to greet him. Ordinary mortals in the immortal world were much stronger than those in the mortal world. They were probably at the peak of low-level martial artists. Sai, you can stay here. Just don't go to the river. Golden Water Granny's voice was very old. She sighed, and her body trembled as she left. Do you want to eat something? No. Old lady, we don't need to eat or drink. Chapter 562. Jiang Changkong was puzzled. Could it be that the diabolic spirit did not take him seriously and was pretending to be weak? But if that was the case, the diabolic spirit could have eaten him directly. The situation in the sky should be in immortal array. The diabolic spirit might have been delayed by something. The three of them walked out of the room. Jiang Changkong looked at Granny Goldwater, who was pouring water for them. He was puzzled. Aren't you afraid of our sudden appearance? I'm used to it. Granny Goldwater poured 3 cups of water for them. Her wrinkled face was full of wrinkles. You're not the first batch of guests. Other than us, there are others who came to the Golden Water Town. Jiang Changkong raised his eyebrows. Every few years, there will be people who come. Granny Goldwater rubbed her legs and pulled a chair to sit. I'm old. If you're tired, find a chair for yourselves. Jiang Changkong looked around the room. Other than a few wooden chairs, there were some coarse cloths. There were a few fish and some water plants hanging outside. Old man, can you tell us about those people? Where did they go? Jiang Changkong asked. Some went to the Golden Water River. Some stayed in the Golden Water Town. Fear flashed across Granny Goldwater's face. Most of those who went to the Golden Water River never came back. I heard that they disappeared. Jiang Changkong nodded and called out to the two. Let's go out for a walk. Granny Goldwater suddenly said, Oh yes, young man. Some people came out from the Golden Water River. Jiang Changkong stopped. Granny, please tell me who they are. They call themselves the Celestial River Navy. I don't know who they are, Granny Goldwater said. Thank you. Jiang Changkong pointed his finger. Chaos divine power entered Granny Goldwater's body to help her improve. Celestial River Navy? After walking out of Granny Goldwater's house, Jiang Ziffin frowned. I wonder if they are from the Celestial River Kingdom or the Celestial Water City. The Celestial River Kingdom also has a navy. Jiang Changkong asked. He had a rough understanding of the places ruled by the Heavenly Court, but he didn't know much about the specifics. Jiang Ziyu nodded and said, The cultivators of the Milky Way Immortal Kingdom are best at water battles. They formed a navy, all of which are celestial immortals, numbering 10,000. Let's go check out the Golden Water River. Jiang Changkong walked toward the Golden Water River. The two of them hurriedly followed. This time, the evil devils were proficient in spatial laws. They didn't dare to stray too far from Jiangchongkong. There were many residents in Goldwater Town, and there were also many people on the streets. The group of people glanced at them and then looked away. As for an outsider like Jiangchongkong, they were not surprised at all. The three of them quickly walked out of Goldwater Town. A river appeared before their eyes, emitting a faint golden light. Under the golden light, the entire river looked like a golden river. Jiangchongkong frowned. His sharp senses allowed him to sense a dangerous aura. His right palm swept across the void, and a spatial crack that had just appeared immediately disappeared. A black evil light suddenly flashed. Jiangchongkong flicked his finger, and the evil light was destroyed. Chaos stars floated in his eyes, and chaos divine power spread out. The void in front of him changed. The space in front of him overlapped, crisscrossed, and twisted chaotically. The spatial laws are really amazing. Jiangchongkong reached into the void. From the two's perspective, his palm had disappeared. A heaven god. Jiangziyu and Jiangziyu's expressions changed slightly. They hurriedly held him down. Chaos divine power surged, and the twisted space disappeared. The area in front of them returned to normal. Jiangchongkong brought them to the river and was surprised to find that the space in the river had also changed. It would probably take a lot of effort for him to break through all the space here. Let's go back first. Jiangchongkong's expression darkened. He returned with the two of them. They entered Goldwater Town again and walked on the streets. Jiangziyu and Jiangziyu's expressions changed slightly. Their lips moved. Someone is watching us. Yes, I've already discovered it. Jiangchongkong responded softly and led them around Goldwater Town. The chaos divine power turned invisible, and the three of them disappeared instantly. A skinny middle-aged man with a goatee trembled when he saw them disappear. Lu Xianfeng, late-stage divine immortal. He has spent his life subduing demons and has performed meritorious deeds. An indifferent voice came from behind, causing the middle-aged man's expression to freeze and his body to stiffen. Don't be so nervous. Jiangchongkong came in front of him and looked at him coldly. Why are you here? I'm here to subdue demons, Lu Xianfeng said solemnly. How much do you know about the demons in Goldwater River? Jiangchongkong asked. Not as much as you know. I only entered this place by mistake. Please let me go this time. Lu Xuanfeng's expression changed as he cupped his hands and bowed. We don't know anything. If you don't tell me the truth, I'll search your soul. Jiangchongkong raised his palm slightly. We also entered this place by mistake. Lu Xuanfeng's expression darkened. You're the Heavenly River Navy? I really don't know how to cooperate. This is the Heavenly Court's Heavenly God of Justice, Jiangziyu introduced. The two of us are deities of the great wilderness. The Heavenly Book manifested, and Lu Xuanfeng's information was displayed on it. The Heavenly Book told me about your identity, Jiangchongkong said calmly. Lu Xianfeng sized him up carefully and looked at the heavenly eye on his forehead. It's really the Heavenly God of Justice. Great. Are you here to eliminate demons? You can say that. What's going on with the demons here? Jiangchongkong nodded and asked, How long have you been here? Do you know anything? The three of you, please follow me. Lu Xianfeng bowed slightly and led them away. The three of them followed Lu Xianfeng through Goldwater Town and finally arrived at a thatched hut. Lu Xianfeng poured them a cup of tea and sat down. I've been here for 30 years, he said softly. 30 years? That demon didn't kill you? Jiangchongkong was surprised. Jiangziyu and Jiangziyu were puzzled as well. Lu Xianfeng hadn't been touched in 30 years. That demon is very busy every day. Immortals like us who accidentally barged in are his food, Lu Xianfeng said with a bitter smile. Lu Xianfeng smiled bitterly. I went in once with the Heavenly River Navy, but I didn't see that demon. What's the situation inside? There are countless spaces inside the Goldwater River. Even immortal lords will get lost inside, let alone immortals, Lu Xianfeng said in a deep voice. Back then, I only secretly followed one of the Heavenly River Navy. Fortunately, I didn't see that demon or I wouldn't have been able to come out. What's the relationship between the Heavenly River Navy and that demon? Jiangchongkong asked. It's a partnership. I heard from the Heavenly River Navy that the demon in the Goldwater River is helping to refine immortal pills with immortals. There seems to be some secret hidden at the bottom of the Goldwater River that made the demon stay until now. Lu Xianfeng explained, the Heavenly River Navy is the army of the Heavenly River Celestial Kingdom. Occasionally, immortal lords will come. Have you figured out the demon's cultivation? Yes. He's at the peak of early stage Immortal Lord. That's 10 years ago. I don't know if he's broken through. The Goldwater River has been turned into an iron plate by him. Even mid-stage Immortal Lords won't be able to get away. Lu Xianfeng knew solemnly. Chapter 563. The Fiend of the Golden Water River was a human immortal who obtained a spatial inheritance by chance and became an Immortal Lord. However, this immortal did not walk the righteous path, but the evil one. He used immortals to refine pills to raise his cultivation level. After occupying the Golden Water River, this immortal did not leave. At first, the mid-stage immortal lord from the Skyriver Celestial Kingdom wanted to kill this fiend. However, the fiend set up a spatial formation here that even a mid-stage immortal lord couldn't take down. He wanted to call for a stronger immortal lord, but the fiend took the initiative to express his goodwill. He worked with the Skyriver Celestial Kingdom to refine immortals into pills. The fiend had a unique pill recipe that could speed up cultivation as long as there was an immortal as the main ingredient. The mid-stage immortal lord wasn't a good person either. After getting some immortal pills, he agreed on the spot. From then on, the Golden Water River town became the fiend's territory. Any immortal that entered would become fiend's food. The Skyriver Celestial Kingdom kept sending immortals over to refine pills. Skyriver Celestial Kingdom. Was this done by the immortal lord himself, or by the Celestial Kingdom's idea? Jiang Changkong asked. The Skyriver Navy is the army of the Skyriver Celestial King. The Skyriver Celestial King must have been involved to mobilize the Skyriver Navy, Lu Xianfeng said. Jiang Changkong sighed. Looks like the Skyriver Celestial Kingdom isn't a good person. Heavenly God, what should we do now? Jiang Ziyu asked. Lu Xianfeng looked at him. Jiang Changkong was the strongest here. It was up to him to decide what to do. If we can trap that fiend, I can kill it directly and solve the crisis of the Golden Water River town. Jiang Changkong pondered. The main problem is that there are too many folded spaces. It will be very troublesome to break through them. I have a way to trap that fiend, Lu Xianfeng said. What is it? The three of them asked. Lu Xianfeng took out a round plate that emitted a rich green light. This is a wood attribute immortal artifact, superior 5th grade. It can form a space. Use me first, Jiang Changkong said. Lu Xianfeng passed it to him. I will activate it, but it's not very powerful. Heavenly God, you should feel it yourself. Jiang Changkong picked up the disc and poured his chaos divine power into it, causing it to glow brightly. A dark green world appeared and enveloped the four of them. The heavenly deity's chaos divine energy is truly miraculous. I thought that this disc would take some time to convert and waste a lot of divine energy, Lu Xianfeng said. It was very difficult for ordinary chaos divine energy to control treasures of other attributes. Jiang Changkong carefully sensed the structure of the 5 elemental immortal powers in the disc. Even his sun Godfire could convert wood elemental immortal energy, but some of it would be wasted. With his chaos divine energy, there was nothing in the world that he could not control. Using a wood attribute treasure was not a problem. This immortal artifact's forging technique is exquisite and powerful. Jiang Changkong held the round plate in his hand and sensed the emerald space around him. If he were to use his full strength, not even an intermediate heavenly high immortal would be able to break through it. The sex treasure, the sex treasure. Lu Xianfeng smiled as a trace of pride unconsciously surfaced on his face. Oh, may I know who your sect is? Jiang Changkong and the other two asked curiously. The heavenly book did not reveal Lu Xianfeng's sect, so Jiang Changkong thought that he was an itinerant immortal without a sect. But now it seemed that Lu Xianfeng had a powerful background. To be able to hide from the heavenly secrets and guard against the heavenly book's detection, He had to be at least an immortal king. Lu Xianfeng said awkwardly, "It's better not to say since I've already fallen to this state. It will only bring shame to my sect. I won't ask anymore." Jiang Changkong put away the round plate, and the emerald space disappeared. "What we need to do now is to enter and find the fiend. Is there a way to lure the fiend out?" Jiang Ziyu pondered. "Wouldn't it be easier to leave the Golden Water River?" Jiang Changkong looked at Lu Xianfeng. Lu Xianfeng shook his head. "There's nothing I can do about it. In the past 30 years, other than the fiend coming out and capturing an immortal, it hasn't appeared again. Is there a fixed time for the Heavenly River Navy to come?" Jiang Zifen asked. "No, the Heavenly River Navy will come when we have enough immortals." "There's no fixed time?" Lu Xianfeng pondered. Jiang Changkong frowned. Was he going to use force? If they really fought, he really didn't think much of an early-stage immortal lord, even if the other party was a spatial law immortal lord. However, in terms of speed, even the Kuan Peng, known as the fastest in the immortal world, couldn't catch up to a spatial immortal lord of the same level. The other party had directly crossed space to escape. Plus, they had been operating in the Golden Water River for many years. Who knew how many escape routes they had left behind? After thinking for a moment, Jiang Changkong said, "What if it's a severely injured immortal lord? You plan to use yourself as bait, Heavenly God?" Lu Xuanfeng's expression changed. Jiang Changkong nodded. "I believe that fiend won't be able to resist the temptation." "We can give it a try," Lu Xianfeng said. "But be careful, Heavenly God." Jiang Changkong said, "There's no time to lose. We'll act tonight." Lu Xianfeng said again, "We won't be able to help in a battle between immortal lords. The three of us will protect the Golden Water Town." "All right." The other two nodded. After the discussion, the four sipped tea and waited for the sky to turn dark. Night fell quickly. Jiang Changkong came to the Golden Water River alone. His palm split open and chaos blood dripped down. His aura quickly weakened. Boom! A drop of blood crushed the space. The water of the Golden Water River boiled. Chaos blood dripped continuously. Jiang Changkong's chest split open and blood flowed out. The boiling water and collapsed space. At the bottom of the Golden Water River, a figure sitting cross-legged opened his eyes. His gaze pierced through the layers of space and saw a figure lying by the water. The figure's aura was extremely weak. Early stage immortal? How can immortal blood be so powerful? The figure frowned with a trace of doubt. The power of the immortal blood was no weaker than an early stage immortal lord. Moreover, the figure gave him a dangerous aura. The Golden Water River. My ferocious name has long spread. How can this person fall by the river coincidentally? The figure sneered and closed his eyes, ignoring Jiang Changkong. Jiang Changkong was very patient. The immortal blood flowed for a while before it stopped, and his injuries began to heal. Although his injuries had healed, his aura was still weak. A night passed. There was no movement from the Golden Water River. Jiang Changkong did not move. Only his chest rose and fell slightly. His breathing was weak. Another day passed. The Golden Water River was still calm. The fiend still did not come out. Jiang Changkong's complexion turned ruddy, and his injuries improved. Until the third night, the Golden Water River was still calm. A figure holding a divine sword approached carefully and said, "This person's aura is extremely strong. If I save him, he should be able to bring me out of this place and even slay the fiend demon." In the space, the fiend demon suddenly opened his eyes and a fierce glint burst out. If he really saved a powerful immortal lord, he was not afraid. However, there was a high chance that the immortal lord would break the Golden Water Town's restrictions and take away all his rations. Jiang Changkong, who was lying on the ground, sensed that the person was Lu Xianfeng. Seeing that there was no movement for a long time, Lu Xianfeng became anxious. If this move did not work, he could only wait for the Heavenly River Navy to come. Just as he was about to come into contact with Jiang Changkong, an invisible force expanded and engulfed the two of them. Chapter 564. It was a special space that was empty and transparent like glass. The space was very sturdy, and even an early-stage immortal lord wouldn't be able to break it. Lu Xianfeng didn't feel anything because the situation outside was still the same. Jiang Changkong, who had been pretending to be unconscious, suddenly opened his eyes and released a ferocious aura. Cracks started to appear in the space. Lu Xuanfeng's face changed drastically, and he quickly retreated. Fiend! Jiang Changkong's eyes were cold. Do what you need to do, and don't bother me. I'll leave. As soon as he said that, the void cracked and the surrounding space shattered. Lu Xuanfeng's face was solemn. He was worried that Jiang Changkong would scare the fiend away. Good strength. I'll allow you to leave, but you can't bring anyone with you. A cold voice came from the Golden Water River. Good. Jiang Changkong harumphed coldly and turned to leave. Buzz. All of a sudden, the void tightened and an invisible force shrank. Jiang Changkong started to walk, but he was actually standing on the spot. It seems like you're really injured. You didn't even sense my true strength. A cold voice rang out, and the space around him rapidly shrank. It was as if walls were about to crush him to death. Jiang Changkong's eyes narrowed, and he punched at the shrinking space. Crack! When the fist landed, the void shattered and collapsed. Jiang Changkong's expression was cold. You're the one who provoked me first. When I recover from my injuries, I'll bring everyone from the Golden Water Town out. What a powerful immortal body. You've completely piqued my interest. A sinister laughter could be heard as the illusionary space continued to press down on Lin Fan. Get lost. Dirty ants should just hide in the filthy ground. Jiang Changkong harumphed coldly and punched continuously, shattering the space. The fiend stopped talking and weaved space after space to weaken Lin Fan's strength. Jiang Changkong frowned. He lifted Lu Xianfeng with his left hand and punched out. Buzz! The void fluctuated and a black, evil light flashed. A palm shot towards Jiang Changkong. Jiang Changkong hurriedly raised his palms. With a bang, his body staggered backward. A black figure appeared in front of him, blocking his way. An incarnation wants to stop me? Jiang Changkong snorted. The energy inside his body exploded, and a boundless amount of godly energy poured out. Crack! Wherever the divine might pass, space was unable to endure it, and the constructed space quickly crumbled. The incarnation blocking the way also dissipated. However, Jiang Changkong was also bleeding from the corner of his mouth, and his expression was cold. You can't escape. The sinister voice rang out again as black figures appeared in all directions, all of them unleashing palm strikes at Jiang Changkong. Jiang Changkong's expression turned serious as he used his chaos divine power to protect his body. Boom! The palm force landed one after another, all of them real attacks. This was the strangeness of spatial martial artists. They moved through space, fast to the limit, leaving behind streak after streak of attacks. Those of the same level couldn't block them at all. Buzz! A green light bloomed from Jiang Changkong's body and instantly spread, enveloping all the black figures. Chaos divine power surged, and the divine might was like a prison. Boundless chaos divine power manifested and evolved within it. The monstrous chaos divine power shattered the attacks one after another. Everywhere it passed, the black figures dissipated, leaving only a real figure. You deliberately lure me out? The fiend said coldly. This deity thought that it failed. Jiang Changkong said indifferently. But now, it seems that it succeeded. You? The black figure raised his head slightly. It was a young face with a hint of demonic aura. Jiang Changkong waved his hand and sent Lu Xianfeng out. Boundless chaos divine power surged behind him. I don't need one move to kill you. Ever since I cultivated the spatial laws and became a space immortal lord, you're the first person who dares to speak to me like this. The young immortal lord smiled coldly, and his figure dissipated. Even in this narrow space, I can create endless space. Boom! The boundless chaos divine power behind Jiang Changkong suddenly exploded, and boundless chaos chi filled the entire dark green space. Crackling sounds rang out continuously as space shattered one after another. The chaotic air currents were like divine dragons that could destroy the world, destroying simple and crude spaces one after another. There is no space before the chaos divine power. The boundless chaos divine power squeezed the fiend's living space. Buzz. Suddenly, a dangerous aura came. A black light mixed with silvery white light tore through the chaos divine power and slashed down. It was like the Lord of Space had transformed into a spatial law. There seemed to be an endless space in front of Jiang Changkong. Clang! The black and silvery white light landed, and a mysterious azure light appeared on Jiang Changkong's body. The black and silvery white light dissipated, and the demonic face had a hint of shock and confusion. His invincible spatial power couldn't break through the opponent's azure light. I said that I don't need one move to kill you, Jiang Changkong said indifferently. When the chaos divine power fills this space, it will be your death. Who are you? I have no grudge with you. Why are you looking for trouble with me? The demonic young man retreated and put some distance between them. Layers of space appeared to block the chaos divine power. Heavenly God of justice, I enforce the law on behalf of the heavens. Jiang Changkong's heavenly eye slowly opened. You are sentenced to death. Heavenly God of justice. The demonic young man's face turned cold. A black sword appeared in his hand, and the spatial law appeared again. Buzz. The heavenly eye shone, and the chaotic divine power shot out. The black sword shattered, and the demonic young man's body trembled. His body turned into specks of light and started to dissipate. The chaotic divine power rushed into the demonic young man's body and searched his soul before he died. The spatial cultivation method, comprehension of the spatial law, and the secret of the golden water river all flowed into his mind. The spatial cultivation method was incomplete. It was originally a top-tier immortal sutra, but it could only be considered high-grade now. Jiang Changkong wasn't in the mood to learn it. Apart from being strange and good at escaping, there was nothing special about the spatial law. This space immortal sutra wasn't of much help to him, and it would waste his energy to complete it. However, the secret of the golden water river piqued his interest. He put away the disc, and the green space disappeared. Lu Xianfeng hurried forward. Heavenly God, is it over? That fiend has been reduced to ashes. Call them up. I'll bring you to the bottom of the golden water river to have a look, Jiang Changkong said. Lu Xianfeng nodded and sent a message to Jiang Ziyu and Lu Xianfeng. They soon arrived and said respectfully, Heavenly God, let's go. I'm sure you haven't seen the thing at the bottom of the golden water river before. Jiang Changkong led them into the golden water river. After searching their souls, he already knew how to go through the thousands of spaces here. What is it that Heavenly God is so sure that we haven't seen it before? The three immortals were even more curious. Lu Xianfeng had a strange look on his face. I've traveled far and wide for many years. I've even seen immortal kings. What haven't I seen? Have you guys seen a dead immortal emperor before? Jiang Changkong asked indifferently. A dead, immortal emperor? The three of them were dumbfounded. Immortal emperors were supreme existences. Even an immortal king could rule over a country. In the heavenly court, they had a high status. There probably weren't many immortal emperors in the heavenly court. They couldn't even see a living one, let alone a dead one. Of course, it's not a complete body. It's just a head, Jiang Changkong said. It can behead an immortal emperor. The three of them were even more shocked. Jiang Changkong said, according to the fiend's memories, this immortal emperor was beheaded in one move. The wound was very smooth. Chapter 565. Thousands of folded spaces finally gathered in a cave at the bottom of the river. There was an alchemy cauldron, some immortal stones, and a head inside. The golden skull had a smooth wound. Apparently, it had been chopped off in one strike. A faintly discernible pressure caused the four of them to feel pressured. Jiang Changkong was still fine, but the three late-stage divine immortals were breathing heavily. The skull in front of them seemed to have turned into a supreme emperor that suppressed the world. A golden light spread out from the immortal emperor's head and enveloped the four of them. Jiang Changkong circulated his chaotic divine power and enveloped the three of them. Phew! The three heaved a sigh of relief. They didn't know when, but they were already drenched in cold sweat. It was just a skull, but it gave them a pressure that they couldn't look up to. An azure light shone on Jiang Changkong's body as he resisted the immortal emperor's pressure. An immortal emperor's head is so terrifying. If the immortal emperor was alive, they probably wouldn't be able to take a look. He was no different from an ant. Such a powerful existence was actually beheaded. Could it be an immortal sovereign? Jiang Ziyu guessed. I don't know. It's been too long. We don't even know the name of this immortal emperor. Lu Xianfeng shook his head and looked at the immortal emperor's head. We can keep this thing and forge an immortal artifact in the future. Using an immortal artifact's head to forge an artifact would definitely be a great weapon. If he had the corresponding materials, he could even forge a grade 7 immortal emperor artifact. Jiang Changkong went forward and picked up the immortal emperor's head. It was as heavy as a mountain. Even with his strength, he felt strained. Furthermore, there was a stream of pure, immortal power contained within the head. Ordinary spatial equipment wouldn't be able to store the immortal emperor's head. He shook his head and gave up. I can't take the immortal emperor's head with me. Then I won't hold back. Lu Xianfeng swallowed his saliva and went forward to take the immortal emperor's head. You have a way? Jiang Ziyu and Lu Xianfeng were shocked. This was the immortal emperor's head. Even Jiang Changkong couldn't take it with him. How could Lu Xianfeng, who was as strong as them, take it? Jiang Changkong put away the immortal stones. There weren't many of them, but they were of good quality. 150 pieces, all peak rank 4. These immortal stones were given to the evil demons by the Heavenly River Navy. They were too low, and the evil demons didn't care about them. As for immortal monarchs, they were rare even in the Sky River Celestial Kingdom. How could they give them to him? Jiang Changkong opened the alchemy furnace, and a rich medicinal fragrance wafted out. Mist rose up, and there were a few golden pills inside, but most of them were dregs of unrefined pills. Previously, the evil devil had been concocting pills, and this furnace of pills had yet to be completed. The pills were all golden pills, but Jiang Changkong was not interested in them. Firstly, it was refined by an immortal. Secondly, the quality of the golden core was too low, so it was of no help to him. Searching through the nefarious demon's memories, Jiang Changkong entered the interior of the cave. Inside, there was a dimension created by the nefarious demon. There were a few immortals and demons imprisoned here, but they were already corpses. The golden pill that the nefarious devil had refined earlier was also placed in the void. The nefarious devil had opened up quite a number of spaces in this cave abode. Lu Xianfeng, can you do it? Jiang Ziyu's voice rang out. Jiang Zifen also said, if you can't, then forget it. If you can't take the things you can't take away, you can come back in the future when you have the strength. I'm definitely fine. Lu Xianfeng wrapped the immortal emperor's head with a yellow cloth and moved it with great effort. However, no matter how hard he tried, his face was flushed red. He pushed his immortal power to the limit, but he couldn't move it at all. What immortal artifact is this yellow cloth? Jiang Changkong glanced at the yellow cloth. There were all sorts of mysterious patterns engraved on it, emitting golden light. Lu Xianfeng had many good things on him. First, it was the disc, and now there was a mysterious yellow cloth. This yellow cloth is a treasure that I obtained by chance. It contains a space. Lu Xianfeng said with great effort. It can be considered an incomplete immortal emperor treasure, but it's strange today. With that said, he let go and panted. An incomplete immortal emperor treasure should be able to store an immortal emperor's head. However, he couldn't take it away at all. Stop bragging. An immortal emperor treasure? Jiang Ziyu and Lu Xianfeng didn't believe it at all. Jiang Changkong walked over. Let me try again. Please. Lu Xianfeng quickly took 2 steps back. An azure light flashed in Jiang Changkong's palm. He pressed on the skull wrapped in the yellow cloth and lifted it up. The immortal emperor's head slowly rose. Jiang Changkong held his breath, and his muscles bulged like a dragon. Gray chaos divine power bloomed from his body and fused with the azure light. Huff! Jiang Chongkong suddenly let go and said while gasping for breath, I suspect that your immortal artifact is fake. Impossible. It's a genuine, incomplete, 7th grade immortal artifact. Lu Xianfeng frowned. Is there something wrong with the immortal emperor's head? In the evil demon's memory, the immortal emperor's head can't be moved. Every once in a while, it will spit out a special immortal energy. Jiang Chongkong searched the evil demon's memory and said, there might be something wrong with the immortal emperor's head. What kind of energy is it? Heavenly God, can you be more specific? Lu Xianfeng asked. It's purer and of a higher grade than the immortal world's energy. It can also help the evil demon understand the laws of the immortal Tao. Jiang Chongkong said, furthermore, that special immortal aura can even improve the immortal physique. It's of a higher grade than the immortal world's energy. It can help me understand the laws and improve the immortal body. Lu Xuanfeng's eyes lit up. He looked at the skull excitedly. Do you know what it is? Jiang Chongkong asked. I'm not sure. Lu Xianfeng looked at the skull's eye sockets. Heavenly God, can you help me see if there's something engraved in the skull? Jiang Chongkong quickly went forward and filled his eyes with chaos energy to see what was inside the skull. There were many tiny runes engraved inside. If he didn't pay attention, he wouldn't be able to see them. There is. I'll send you the information. Jiang Chongkong sent the information to Lu Xianfeng. Lu Xianfeng became more excited as he digested the information. His body trembled. Heavenly God, you're really lucky. No, we're the lucky ones. Don't keep us in suspense. Hurry up and tell us. Jiang Ziyu urged. Lu Xianfeng stroked his goatee and calmed down. If I'm not wrong, there should be another dimension hidden here that even the evil demon didn't notice. Oh, the three were curious. That energy should be connate spiritual energy. Lu Xianfeng came to the skull and a green light appeared in his hand. Let's go in and take a look. After saying that, the green light drew an outline in the void, turning into a small dark green tree that took root on the skull. The roots extended and extended into the skull. Rays of dark green light poured into the mysterious patterns. Buzz! The skull suddenly enlarged and swallowed the four of them. The space around him changed, and surges of pure energy automatically flowed into his body. The three deities' auras slowly strengthened. Jiang Chongkong felt his chaos divine power, the green light in his body, and the laws of chaos become active. Streams of clear and transparent air currents filled the surroundings, almost condensing into liquid. Connate spiritual energy. Such dense connate spiritual energy. Lu Xianfeng breathed in deeply. I didn't expect to discover connate spiritual energy in my lifetime. Chapter 566. The mysterious space was no more than 1,000 feet wide, but there was a bamboo forest as thick as an adult's arm. There were rocks everywhere in the green bamboo forest. The connate spirit chi was so thick that it condensed into mist. Apart from the jade bamboo, there were no other plants. Connate spirit chi was formed when the celestial world was created. In the current celestial world, celestial chi could only be considered postnatal spirit chi. In the primordial era, countless celestial gods and races were born from heaven and earth. They were called connate gods. Connate gods were extremely powerful. They were born or transformed, and the weakest among them was a human immortal. Those with great talent could transform into celestial gods or even immortal lords. In that era, humans hadn't been born yet. The celestial world was ruled by all races. The monster court rose in that era. The monster emperor and monster emperor were all little immortals who worked hard, until the monster court was established. At the end of the primordial era, the connate gods fought and destroyed the celestial world. From then on, the connate spirit chi was lost and transformed into postnatal spirit chi. Only the monster court sealed the connate spirit chi and established the heavenly world. The lower world was called the earth immortal world. In the primordial era, connate spirit chi was almost non-existent. The new heavenly court didn't have much connate spirit chi either. When the heavenly court left, connate spirit chi became a legend. They didn't expect to see connate spirit chi here. Unfortunately, this space is too small and the connate spirit chi is too little. Lu Xianfeng shook his head and sighed. If this space was bigger and there was more connate spirit chi, these jade bamboos might have gained sentience and become connate gods. If we cultivate in seclusion here, will we be able to become immortal lords? Jiang Ziyu and Lu Xianfeng asked excitedly. Jiang Changkong felt the connate spirit chi enter his body. There were no changes. It doesn't seem to be of much help to me. Heavenly gods have a strong foundation. We might not be able to see it in a short time. Lu Xianfeng walked towards the jade bamboos. If we stay here for a few hundred or 1,000 years, we will definitely improve. Forget it. It's too long. Jiang Changkong shook his head. Lu Xuanfeng's expression was solemn. Heavenly gods, we can't rely on the heavenly Tao too much. What we cultivate is what we have. Jiang Changkong nodded. I understand. Let's take a look first. The four of them entered the bamboo forest. The bamboo forest was not big, and there were not many jade bamboos inside. There were only about 100 of them. However, the jade bamboo in the forest surprised Jiang Changkong. These jade bamboos were so strong that even immortals would find it difficult to destroy them. These jade bamboos can be chopped up and refined into top-notch grade for immortal weapons, Jiang Ziyu said. Lu Xianfeng smiled and pointed at the jade bamboos. These jade bamboos have reached the pinnacle of the 4th grade. With some other materials, they could be used to craft a 5th grade immortal weapon. Jiang Changkong's chaos divine energy spread out, and the situation of the bamboo forest appeared in his line of sight. Essence, energy, and spirit, 220,000. Do you want to withdraw it? A small puddle of water appeared in Jiang Changkong's chaotic force. It was a jade-green liquid that contained terrifying energy. A drop of the liquid was enough for a deity to digest for a long time. It could be extracted directly. Jiang Changkong's expression didn't change. He used his chaotic force to collect the liquid and extract its energy. Lu Xianfeng brought the two of them around the forest. Very soon, they found the jade liquid puddle. There was a small jade bamboo here. It was as thick as a thumb and emitted a dark green radiance. There should be primordial spirit liquid here. Why isn't there? Lu Xianfeng frowned and looked at the puddle with a hint of confusion. Primordial spirit liquid was a liquid formed from connate spirit chi that contained abundant energy. This jade bamboo is strange. Jiang Changkong looked at the jade bamboo. It was very fragile and could probably be broken by a sky immortal. This should be the jade bamboo king. It has cultivated the origin. What a pity. Lu Xianfeng looked at the jade bamboo for a moment and shook his head. What's a pity? The three of them were curious. Lu Xianfeng said, the other jade bamboos are all tough and refined with spirit chi. This jade bamboo is the opposite. The toughness of the material is weakening. Isn't it too small? It hasn't grown up yet. Jiang Zifen was puzzled. This is definitely the only thin bamboo in the entire bamboo forest. Lu Xianfeng shook his head. This thin bamboo should be absorbing spirit chi and storing it to cultivate the origin, just like how we cultivate. This jade bamboo has gained sentience. It's just instinct, not sentience. If this puddle had primordial spirit liquid and the jade bamboo king absorbed it, it might have gained sentience and become a connate god. But there isn't any primordial spirit liquid. It's impossible for the jade bamboo king to transform just by absorbing connate spirit chi. Lu Xianfeng explained. Jiang Changkong glanced at the jade bamboo king. What a pity. Is there no other way? Yes, I need the heavenly god's chaos divine power to combine with my 5 elements transformation and the connate spirit chi here. Lu Xianfeng pondered. But that would require a huge amount of energy. I don't know if the heavenly god can handle it. We could try, Jiang Changkong said. After all, he was the one who took the primordial spirit liquid. It's just a piece of bamboo that doesn't even have intelligence. The heavenly deity is too kind, right? Jiang Ziyu said, the heavenly god is kind. Lu Xianfeng bowed. If it were me, I would save it too. Jiang Changkong smiled and didn't say anything. He was just making it up to them. He would just treat it as exchanging for the primordial spirit liquid. Lu Xianfeng started setting up the array and looked at the two deities. Other than this bamboo king, cut the rest of the bamboos and make them into immortal artifacts. Didn't you just say it's kind? The two were shocked. That's for the ones that can give birth to spirit chi. The rest of the bamboos can only be used as materials. Lu Xianfeng shook his head. The two deities didn't say anything else and went to cut the bamboos. Jiang Changkong watched as he set up the array. There were all kinds of mysterious patterns that attracted connate spirit chi. To be honest, he couldn't understand it, but he could learn it. There was a new line on the data. 5 elements transformation array. Beginner 0/300 without learning it. This array was useless to him. Lu Xianfeng, on the other hand, had an extraordinary background. Could he be from one of the two celestial sects? If he was, he could only be from the Zhenyuan celestial sect. Thinking of this, he asked, "Is the Zhenyuan celestial sect doing well?" Lu Xuanfeng's body trembled. "I really can't hide it from you, heavenly god. I'm indeed from a Zhenyuan celestial sect." "You've taken out too many treasures," Jiang Changkong said calmly. "Also, not everyone knows about connate spirit chi." Lu Xianfeng said as he set up the array, "The Zhenyuan celestial sect is passed down from the ancestor of the Earth Immortals, Patriarch Zhenyuan. He doesn't want to have anything to do with the Heavenly Court. I hope you won't mind." "The Heavenly Court has nothing to do with me," Jiang Changkong said calmly. Lu Xianfeng was taken aback. "Aren't you the Heavenly Court's heavenly god of justice?" Jiang Changkong shrugged his shoulders and explained the matter to him. Lu Xianfeng was shocked and then angry. "The Heavenly Court is such a B****. It's far worse than the ancient Heavenly Court and the primordial Fey Court." "It doesn't matter. I'm the heavenly law enforcement god of heaven, not the Heavenly Court," Jiang Changkong said. "But the Heavenly Tao has completely recovered. You still have to return to the Heavenly Court." Lu Xianfeng frowned. Jiang Changkong shook his head and didn't say anything.